That's what I wanted. Is it coming through? There it is! Hello! Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sirenia Studios, being the channel that we are streaming from, and welcome to the first episode of the Lore of Leyus, the Starburst campaign. That is the name of this campaign, and as you can see on screen, there is a character particularly associated with this campaign. You can also see that I am currently in call with a number of individuals, and these are going to be my players for this campaign. So guys, feel free to go through and introduce yourselves. Feel free to do so in order. Now, yourselves and not your characters. There's going to be time for that later.
Thanks for clarifying. I was confused on that point.
Who am I again?
Well, I guess that's it for today. Thank you guys for coming by to stream.
Do it next time.
This is such a good game, you guys.
Alright, so I suppose going down the list, hi, I'm Griffin, aka CyberneticPinkeye. I am a video essayist, as well as a singer and voice actor. I occasionally do creative things here and there, and I am thrilled to be a part of this campaign.
Cool.
Thanks.
Gab.
Hi, I'm Gab, or SerenaMidori. I do things sometimes, shrugs. Mostly I just play a lot of D&D and I DM other games, but this is a game where I get to play, and it has been extremely fun.
And that's Jane.
Hi, that's it. No, I'm kidding. Hi, I'm Jane, or RedAsATomato. What do I do?
What do you even do?
What do you even do?
I don't know.
What do I do?
Where do I even go here? I sometimes do stuff with my voice acting. There you go, and singing and art stuff and not dye. Sorry, draw.
Well, yes, both, but anyway.
Yeah, that's the. And I help with D&D stuff sometimes, and yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's.
And these are some lovely friends of mine, obviously. If you've been to even multiple of my streams over the last year or so, you've probably heard all three of them variously. I mean, Griffin for sure, and
I
Gab
specialize in ruining everything.
and Gab and Jane occasionally.
Yes, only sometimes. Not all of the times.
But, let's see. Well, it says that there's 7 concurrent viewers, so hello to all of you out there in YouTube land. We're just kind of still getting started, and of course the brief introduction. And I wanted to make things a little bit easier for you guys that are watching, so you can keep track of who's talking and who is who, and, you know, characters and who they are. I will say, Gab's currently on her character picture, which I absolutely love. I absolutely love that. We're probably all going to be jumping into that. So you can keep track of, which character is whom.
Yeah, both Gab and Jane absolutely nailed the art for their characters.
Oh, yeah, goddamn.
Screams.
And we're going to try and get more, nice pictures of Koshi eventually for everyone to watch.
Don't
Nice
look
is
for the
relative.
impossible.
I will learn how to draw a bird someday.
Same, right? And hello, Zach. Yes, so we have been playing this stream offline for a handful of sessions. I think it was 3 or 4.
I think so.
I think 3 sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 if I remember correctly.
Yeah. My notes say
So,
3.
and basically it was, 1, to refamiliarize myself with how to DM, because I am baby DM and still kind of learning the ropes a little bit. And also for them to get a chance to sort of get into the groove of their characters and get them through basically an effective prologue for the campaign, for the overarching story. So that's all that you've really missed. I'm actually going to be doing a quick recap for you guys once we get kind of into it, and eventually it's going to be fully posted to the channel, but it might be like a redubbed sort of thing. But So there's going to be a lot of fun involved with that. And so hopefully you guys should not be too lost about what's coming up eventually. I will say that this landing screen, or I say this landing screen, this immediate streaming screen that we are on, is pretty much a summary of what we know of this campaign so far. And I'll give the description of that, but of course I have to highlight my boy here in the foreground. You will know him. You will love him.
The way I like to describe him aesthetically is that he's the illegitimate love child of Sephiroth and Harold Hill from The Music Man.
I mean, I guess.
Aesthetically,
perhaps. But yeah, so, here we are, everyone. Okay, I'm super professional, but yes, I've been looking forward to this, for a long time.
Here we are at SeaWorld.
Yeah, pre-stream jitters.
Here we are in the future. Okay.
Here we are in fear, and it's
Anyway, we got that out of our system. Cool. So what do you guys think? Are you guys excited for this shit?
Absolutely. My changing my icon early doesn't tell you that I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
do you
And
want us to change
don't let my calm, dulcet tones fool you. I am ecstatic about this.
I am very glad to be here. I can only hope that I live up to my own goddamned hype about all of this, but I've already fallen in love with the characters, and I ended up actually having a major breakthrough in terms of the plot while I was preparing for today, in fact. So there's that.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, it's like, you know, you go through and you have a general idea, and then as you go along, like, something clicks in, and all of a sudden the skeleton that you have suddenly has flesh.
Suddenly.
Gross.
Suddenly flesh. Okay.
Yeah. Suddenly we are all Dr. Manhattan.
God.
At least we're not like Hannibal or something. We're eating the flesh.
So anyway, that's a good start as any.
Lovely visuals you've presented us with.
Nice. I mean, here's the thing, like, we've all been involved with D&D, and I will say that, like, for example, we've been playing a campaign that has actually been run by Gab for over a year now, about a year and a quarter. Jeez. A year and a third?
Oh,
Jeez. Even more
at
than
least
that.
here.
But yes, over a year, because we started in November of 2019 and has been ongoing. And she's been doing a fantastic job. Like, legit, I don't think that I would be doing this if not for the fact that she has been running her campaign. And I've been having such a fun time with it.
Yeah, Gab has been an absolute star when it comes to weaving all of our, like, individual, like, character story ideas together into the larger plot that she's written out.
Oh, yeah. And it seems like constantly we're getting cool info about what's going on, like little whiffs of a bigger story about what's going on. And so we're very excited for where that goes next. That all said, so big props to Gab for basically being the inspiration for this, you know.
Thank you.
MVP.
And clap
glad
emoji.
you're 'Cause this has been absolutely so much fun with the sessions we've already done. I'm excited for more and excited to share it with everyone.
Hell yeah.
And so she's DM, and Jane is co-DM as well as, like, officially mascot by virtue of playing the mascot character.
She's our mascot.
Yeah.
She is a mascot. She is a mascot? Jesus Christ, I can talk.
I mean,
And Griffin and I have just been players in the campaign, although neither one of us or our characters shuts the fuck up.
and I also love how I've also inadvertently become one of the co-mascots via Gab's vocal casting.
Uh-huh.
True.
So I've been getting my experience with 5e through playing the game with her, so that's the only reason why I felt any bit confident enough to potentially even start DMing, is because I got the experience with 5e. Because when I started initially playing D&D, it was when I was in high school, back when 3.0 had just become 3.5, to give you an idea of how long ago that was. And the rules have changed significantly since that edition, or those editions. So being able to get the experience up until this point, and then eventually running down my rabbit hole of reading up on all of the things, excuse me, led me to wanting to do this. So anyway, okay. I am excited for what comes next. Is basically what I'm saying, and I'm hoping that I get to actually do something good as a DM.
I'm excited.
I mean, you've already done a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Give yourself credit, man.
So-
I'll fight you.
Okay. Roll initiative, bitch. Okay.
Square the fuck up. Do it, you won't.
You won't because you're a round little tomato. So if you hear me rustling papers as we go, it's because I decided to go old school with my note-taking and use a notebook and paper for all of the notes that I have been doing for DM, which is stupid. But it helps me with it because it's easier for me to remember all of the shit that I wrote by hand.
I mean, everyone's got their own system.
And it helps me
Not
stay
stupid,
focused
they're
on
not
it.
stupid. It's a system that works for you. Believe me.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right. So, I think with all of that out of the way, talking about, inspiration and shit like that, and how hype we are for all of this, I may as well cue getting officially into the session, which means I think it's time to swap out the icons, folks.
All right, time to head into the phone booth, guys.
Switches it back to my actual icon.
Why is it... Oh. Streamer mode enabled, but it's not going to let me change my icon? I can't
Are you not able to change it? Are you not able to change your icon in streamer mode?
I guess not. Streamer mode, okay. Well, anyway, that's right, because it is streamer mode, and in case I'm showing my screen. Okay.
Okay.
Well, since it's not currently on screen. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Figuring it out, folks.
That's what we be do.
This is what pre-stream time is for.
Well, yes, and that's why, I've been happy to have fun with that. Alright, time to swap it out. Here we go. Here I am.
I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Do you need help, Jane?
Screams.
Do you not know how to change your icon in Discord?
It's been a while. Hold on.
You go to settings, and then you click on the icon.
Yeah, let Gab guide your hips on this one.
Oh,
You click
right.
on settings, and then you click on your icon. Jane.
It's okay. It's not like we rehearsed this. And I mean that legitimately. I'm not sarcastic. We did not.
I will make fun of her.
But chicken hot. Oh, it cannot zoom in anymore. Oh, that's scuffed.
Again, take all the time you need.
It's all
I
good.
think I'm gonna destroy this.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to even in game. So. Sorry, I'm just trying to give Jane the chance to swap out the icons.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience. I'm almost there.
I guess while you do that, yes?
Sorry, I apologize, and I didn't mean to detract. I just got a text from the DM from my very first D&D campaign. Apparently, he's watching in right now.
Cool.
Aw, nice.
Hello,
So-
hello, friend of Griffin.
Yeah, how's it going, Andrew?
Hello, Andrew.
If any of my friends are in the chat, make sure you post in the chat so that I get more clout.
If anyone who's my friend is in the chat, fuck off. No, I'm kidding. Why are you
All of the
here?
viewers.
Why are you like
boy.
In an
this?
instant.
All right.
I'd be surprised.
Send us the Wiffle Bat Fair.
So, I am going to read the recap. So, if you guys don't mind just temporarily muting yourself so that I can get through the process. Congratulations, Jane. You changed your icon.
Screeze thing.
Alright, okay, cool. That is the mode I wanted to be in. Okay, so, recap time. Welcome to Starburst. The stars have always been connected with destiny, whether they map out legends of the past or are used in portents of the future. Stars keep us company in the darkest times of night. It's not all that uncommon for any creature under the night sky to take in the view of the stars, in wonder, in calculation, in hope. And so it was 15 years ago that our heroes were witness to a very strange phenomenon indeed. Right before their eyes, a star seemed to burst, casting a rainbow aurora across the sky before eventually fading, and leaving a darkness where its light once radiated. Those who witnessed this bizarre event would, in time, come to understand their destiny, tied to the dramatic starburst. A Kenku, swept into the underbelly of society, would hone their skills with deception and manipulation. They could sell you, they could tell you, but they could also sell you a tonic to cure what ails you, then vanish before you can realize they sold you swamp water. They never stayed long enough in one location to become known, a perpetual stranger lurking in the shadows. But recently, a new awareness plagued them, so agitated with this awareness that they began plucking feathers, baring their skin and leaving continual irritation over their body. A half-elf, so inspired by the stars that she immersed herself in them, has found her font of destiny within nature. Years spent communing with the world beyond civilization has granted her wisdom, secret magic that only the druids can attain, her fascination with the heavens, the stories they tell and the fate that they inform, has shaped her magic as well. Not that long ago, she was called out of isolation by a vision of a young man who saw her in return. Was the story she was born to witness finally about to begin? Deep within the forests, a beautiful ambassador entertained the elven courts with her charm and skill with performance. Surrounded by love and admiration, she took naturally to learning the skills necessary for her job. Few could parallel her singing, until one night, a haunting, beautiful song filled the dreams. Good job, me. Who was this singer? The Eladrin elf took up her adventuring gear and ventured out from the wild, perhaps just as much motivated by annoyance at a potential challenge to her skill as she was her curiosity to learn more about this strange singer. Otherwise completely disparate from one another, these three share one thing in common. They all witnessed the star bursting, and yet this one bond ties them to a destiny about to unfold. Called by dreams they only halfway understood, they ventured out, the beautiful and refined Haelum leaving the sanctity of her forest home, the curious and determined Ariadne returning from the wilds, and the mysterious and strange Kenku that would become known as Koshi, turning away from their empire of pickpockets, all to converge in the same place. Vermouth, a tiny hamlet that wouldn't appear on any map, smack dab in the middle of nowhere. All three arrived, and upon encountering one another, saw a strange radiance surround them, a shimmer of the aurora they saw in the night sky 15 years ago. Tentatively agreeing to cooperate to track down the source of their strange dreams, they explored the hamlet. Sure enough, it wasn't long before they discovered signs of another stranger that had arrived recently. The silver-haired young man from Ariadne's vision. He had caused quite a stir and raised enough hackles to get himself cast out of the village. Worse than that, the people of Vermouth seemed agitated about some danger coming with nightfall, some even pleading with our heroes to try and find the disruptive stranger and warn him. Our heroes agreed and ventured into the nearby forest, eventually stumbling across a small cabin in the woods. And sure enough, as the sun touched the horizon, 3 monstrous zombies had gathered in front of the cabin. They handily defeated these creatures, and our heroes learned of their compatibility as a team. as well as a glimpse at Koshi's unsettled state of mind as they pounded one of the creatures into pulp. Upon entering the cabin, they met Lyronus, who immediately embraces, or, well, tries to embrace, the three of them, grateful for their arrival. He, too, shimmered with that same light that they'd seen around one another. He was one of them, too, it seemed, and had been the one to tap into whatever collective magic bound them, singing and calling them to him, desperately lonely and afraid, and wanting to meet more like himself. And so at this point, I did not do this beforehand, but I think I'm gonna do that now. I'm going to add a picture here. I'm going to add an image that was actually finished for me recently by Gab. And let me pull it up from where I have it saved. I'm just interrupting the recap, but I want you guys to be able to see this because it's also, like, gorgeous and a perfect summary of these characters thus far. Let's see. Oh, where did I put it? Yeah, here it is. Okay. Here we go. Oh, goodness, it's big. This is why you, do this shit ahead of time, folks. Let's shrink this so you guys can see it on screen. But here is the party in full, with Lyronus lurking around behind them. Cool. Here they all are. They spent overnight in the cabin, recovering and getting to know one another better. He recounted the curse of Vermouth. One night, while the village gathered for a festival celebrating Lyra, a goddess of joy and celebration, a sick woman stumbled into town and collapsed. She passed away, but soon others fell victim to this strange illness, one that cursed those infected to rise from death. Those rare few who survived this illness would be affected nonetheless, compelled to aid the undead as they swarmed the town. The half-elf... I can say words. The half-elf innkeep, Sovalus, received a vision from Lyra of a mark that would prevent those who passed from returning as undead, and they engraved this mark everywhere. In time, the tides of undead ebbed into only the occasional trickle, but in recent years, they seemed to be returning and in greater numbers. He wanted to see if he could help them, but, well, unfortunately he got chased out of town, as Lyronus was explaining. Later that night, Ariadne asked about Lyronus' situation, and he explained that he'd only recently escaped an isolated tower, being held by a woman he only knew as the Queen, someone he felt indebted to, but had grown homesick and left to find his way back home. In the morning, they all departed the cabin, only to find more of the undead crawling about outside. Lyronus, terrified, remarks that the undead were only supposed to emerge at night. They all hurried back to town. On arriving, they were approached by Sally, the herbalist. She requested that they help her obtain a rare flower as an ingredient in a potion that would prevent anyone from becoming infected and returning as the undead. Just as they set out to leave, they caught a glimpse of a strange light around the statue of Lyra in town and inspected it. A darkness washed over the fig that... I'm good at this. Anyway, a darkness watched over the statue, and the offerings surrounding the statue all rotted in an instant. The party took this as a sign that something may have happened with the goddess Lyra. Another party of adventurers wheeled their way into town, a group of highly suspicious individuals, one of whom was almost immediately hostile towards the party and had to be soothed by his companion out of starting a fight. A group of people that Koshi immediately recognized as criminals, because they spent plenty of time in the criminal element. Our heroes ventured again into the forest, following Sally's instructions, and found the lagoon where the flowers they sought grew. They were handily able to collect more than enough samples. I can follow my own fucking writing anyway. They were handily able to collect more than enough samples. As they turned to leave, however, a horrible stench alerted them to the presence of a young corpse flower. Again, they were able to defeat it handily. They were alarmed to see a strange storm collecting over Vermouth, however, and hurried back. The village was buffeted by powerful winds. No rain, though lightning crackled in the sky above. They rescued a young half-elf by the name of Jorvi, who in turn had been attempting to save a child, and made it inside the inn safely. There, one of the sketchy adventurers from earlier had been stuck, having been nearly trapped in the home of the closest thing Vermouth had to nobility, Danforth Thanasi. After some pressing by Haelum, he admitted that he and his companions were in town to pursue what the family had, and that Danforth was very suspect in the events that may have cursed the town 30 years prior. In an effort to lighten the mood of those trapped in the inn due to the storm, Lyronus began playing a song, inviting the others to join in. As they did, the strange light they'd seen around each other appeared, expanding to fill the inn and causing a brief pause in the howling winds. Encouraged, the party ran outside, weaponizing this new magic by performing a song together. This time, the light filled the sky, banishing the storm for good. Danforth Thanasi himself, along with his son Davies, emerged to thank the party for their aid, and announced a celebration to honor them that night. Haelum subtly called attention to Danforth's possible involvement in the curse, causing him to abruptly leave, and earning a surprised, approving glance from Davies as he followed his father. Lyronus once again embraced his new friends, excited by what they had accomplished, by the new magic they now shared, and not just because it helped them clear the storm. No, he was excited because this magic might be his ticket to getting home. Back to the night sky he'd fallen from 15 years ago. But there's still much to uncover in the town of Vermouth. What do the Thanasis know? Will they get to the bottom of the curse? Can they drive out the undead once and for all? And will they truly be able to get Lyronus back home, using this strange new magic? Let's find out together, shall we? And I guess, go ahead. I'm going to flip things over. Feel free to unmute yourselves all in call. Thank you for letting me get through
Join
that.
us, won't you?
Let the fuster-cluck begin.
All right.
You've unmuted us. Now we will cause chaos.
Clucky.
That's Koshi's job, first of all.
Hey, it can be my job too.
Yeah.
I
Also,
found...
apparently, my friends were having difficulty getting into the YouTube chat, but they found a workaround, so yay!
What difficulty?
Apparently, they were signed into their account, but it wasn't working, so they had to finagle some stuff.
Huh. Interesting
Like
start.
that.
Yes. And so here we are. Hey, question, because I'm dumb. How do you minimize, like, the icons of the characters
On Roll20?
on Roll20?
Oh boy, wish I remembered how to do that.
Yeah, it's
Good
cool.
question.
Settings,
Next
settings,
question.
probably settings. Game settings. Where's Spencer when I need him?
Enable
No,
chat avatars.
Yeah.
Maybe?
No, chat avatars is for the chat.
Okay. For the chat itself, chat avatar is the show. Okay. Video and chat options. I want to broadcast to others.
Oh,
Okay.
First stream. Oh, video, player, video, avatar location. Oh, you can only change the location. Oh, size. You can make it names only. There it is. Under chat avatars, player, video, avatar size, and then you can change it to names only.
Okay. So just for now, anyway. Actually, I mean, because we do have our pictures on screen, I guess. So this is a landing.
True.
This is a landing page that I put together, I can't say last minute, but very recently, and I was very excited to assemble this, because I actually got, you know, like a little peek behind the scenes here, but I ended up getting a specific asset pack to be able to play with this, and things may change in between sessions. One of us had a Google account, but not a channel. Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad you guys were able to join in. So again, shout out to Emmy and Andrew. Again, friends from long time ago that actually got me into D&D in the first place.
Very,
This was
very
your
welcome.
fault.
Yes, absolutely.
Congratulations, you won.
Okay. So, here we are on the landing page. And I had a lot of fun with this, and I don't know that I necessarily pointed this out to everyone. I think I pointed it out to Griffin while we were chatting the other night. There are specific elements meant to be nods to each of the characters here.
Yeah.
The books on the table, surrounded by leaves and a flower, are a nod to Ariadne, who is known for keeping papers, records of everything.
Nerd.
A lot of like the rose petals especially I associated with Haelum.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Hell yeah.
And the bottle and the feathers are very Koshi, being a Kenku.
Mhm.
Couldn't
And-
be Koshi. He has no feathers. Sorry.
Oh,
It's all good.
absolutely. Like they've definitely made a habit of like ever since like they saw the Starburst, they've been gradually feeling less and less comfortable in their own skin. And if you're like, no, I'm just gonna make this a regular thing. Don't want this, don't want this, don't want this. Hence all the sores.
And there's a reason why there is a feather hanging out over the money.
Oh yes.
And I will say the knife is probably also technically an allusion to Koshi. I had fun, by the way, putting together the various fonts for the characters on the one sheet there.
Yeah.
Just,
They're perfect.
I wanted to have something elegant and refined for Haelum. I wanted to have something that was very neat and clean and fairly cute for Ariadne. I wanted to have something absolutely scrawled like a fucking beast, a feral child from Koshi. And
That's a description, yes.
and Lyronus, just being the extra little flare child that he is, having this this stamp of his name on something. It just looks like he just had it embossed there, of course. Koshi, Koshi, Koshi!
This is like a WrestleMania chant.
Oh god. If you ever need hype people with fantasy stuff, like these guys are
Hell
my
yeah.
number one recommendations.
So, I'm going to read the recap up here because this is even a little bit more specific, and I'll probably be reading this recap instead of a full recap like I just did going forward. You successfully retrieved the rare fungal flower that Sally the herbalist requested for her new batch of anti-zombification potions. And then some, but you were attacked by a corpse flower. A baby one. You spotted a storm forming over Vermouth, and on getting back, found the hamlet under siege of powerful winds and lightning. You were able to escape inside the inn, along with several other residents, and even one of the so-called adventurers. He revealed a potential connection between the Nazis and the curse on Vermouth. You also discovered a unique power you share with each other, a cleansing light invoked with music. You weaponized this against the storm, which cleared. Danforth and Davies Thanasi emerged to congratulate you, Danforth even calling for a celebration in your honor. Before you could dwell on Danforth's sketchiness, though, Lyronus revealed the true reason he called you. He's the star, and he wants to go home. Koshi be like Eddie Guerrero from what Gab has told me.
God damn you, Sean.
And the to-do list: to-do, give flowers to Sally, investigate Danforth. Those bandits are sus. What happened to Lyra? Break the curse. It's just a good idea. And also, Koshi gotta sell one potion, man.
They have been on such a dry streak with the sales, I swear. They almost got someone. They almost
out
got
of their
someone in the
element
last
here.
session.
They almost tried. They almost tried. They tried. They didn't quite succeed. I will say it was fun. It was hilarious to me when they tried that with the fucking herbalist, and she was
Oh,
just
yes.
like, "Oh, that's cute."
Exactly.
Um,
I mean, Koshi does not discriminate. If they see an opportunity, they will go, like, beak first.
but the person who actually knows what fucking magic potions look like.
Absolutely.
So that's I don't need out just yet. I'm getting out my dice. So just as a side note, one, the stream that you're getting is not going to be showing the GM layer. Of course, I love how, well, it shouldn't be appearing on screen anyway. Let's see. Context said it was okay. Buy Koshi potion. Fix your wagon. I mean, you joke, but...
It'll
It is
quench
just
you.
gasoline.
Oh, shit.
What?
Sorry. I just noticed one of... Okay, so I have a giant... Okay, I was going to finish my statement here. I have a lot of dice, and I'm going to be using my physical dice to actually roll for things as necessary. Moving some shit around on my physical desk here. Because it's, for me, it's my equivalent of using the DM screen back in the day. I'm just doing this virtually online, and so the best way to is just make use of the fact that y'all can't actually see my dice to roll them in private, as opposed to rolling them on the screen.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna try and do my best to keep up with having the streamed screen here, keep up with the actual, because I have my own window for the actual DMing side of things. And make sure I am on the right place. Now let me move y'all over to the current screen of Vermouth.
Yeah.
This is where you
Go
guys all
again.
were. Last we were.
Let's go to
Here we
town.
go again.
And I
I
can
forgot I had Koshi over there.
Yeah,
Koshi, come back.
Koshi had jumped into the water and was heading towards the statue lest we had seen them.
I'm surprised Koshi hasn't caught pneumonia at this point.
sure
Koshi,
you
don't
don't
get
already?
sick.
Actually, I'm going to adjust a couple of things on my end. I will say that from this point on out, unfortunately, guys, I may not be able to read the chat. I'm going to do my best, but I have multiple windows open.
You gotta be DMing. Don't worry. Like obviously, streaming and chat is like important, but we'll say if chat is saying something important.
Oh yeah, I'll keep an eye on that as well, especially since I got some friends watching,
Oh, well,
both old and new.
hey. Or I could take the option to pop out the chat. Cool. Making sure this all tracks. Okay, cool. The fuck,
We're
We're
sir?
professionals.
I remember that meme. I see you.
Koshi
So,
doing the popcat meme. Sorry, continue.
They
I-
absolutely would.
alright, so, last we left off, we were standing in the middle of the square, and so, there was obviously a lot of discussion about who these characters were, but I also wanted to give the players a chance to introduce their characters themselves. How they
Yeah.
saw their characters.
Yeah. So starting like just from the top of the line.
Starting with Griffin, and then it's going
Alright.
to be Gab, and then it's going to be Jane.
Okay, so the basic elevator pitch, you know, as Laura also elaborated on it earlier, Koshi is a non-binary revived rogue Kenku with a serious, let's call it an identity crisis. Again, they happened to witness the Starburst event around their 12th birthday, which is the age Kenkus reach maturity. And ever since then, they just felt gradually less and less comfortable in their own skin. So they started tugging out their own feathers, you know, repeatedly to the point of getting sores over their body. Their eyes gradually sort of like glossed over to the point of being just like pure milky white, save this like very faint orange sheen. And because Kenkus are already sort of like societally looked down on, like seeing as Koshi looked and acted the way they did, even among Kenkus, they were a bit of an outcast, so they had to make do by becoming a bit of a con artist, selling like bogus potions and things like that. And for a while, they even had a pretty good setup where they basically established a ring of orphan pickpockets and was basically the kingpin of that little arrangement until they heard Lyronus' song. And because Koshi rarely thinks in the long term, they decided, oh, well, this is the thing now. I'm heading off in this direction, and the rest is history.
Alright. Haelum.
So Haelum, she's an Eladrin elf, bard, and courtier who basically her whole job was centered around talk good. And that was what her whole life has been, literally up to the point of seeing the Starburst, and she decided to one day just leave and follow it. She didn't tell anyone where she was going. So she's only just now in the world proper. She's pretty naive to a lot of things. The only thing she's not naive to is like political deception because she's been steeped in it. And one of the main things you'll find out about her is she has to be the prettiest one in the room, or else.
Yep. And so, Ariadne.
Hi. So, yeah, basically what, Leyus said. That's the bulk of it. About I want to say 2 weeks prior to like when all this happened, that was when like the vision thingy happened, and she's been sticking. I'm so sorry. I saw you once in a dream, but like literally saw you. Oh no, do you need help? And so that was her kind of, okay, I gotta go out there. I gotta find a silver-haired gentleman. I gotta help the cause. And so that's how she kind of up and left town. I mean, not left town, sorry, left her home place. And she's been out for about a week before all this stuff happened, and yeah.
This has actually led to some funny moments where the only one of the crew so far who knows anything about money has been Koshi.
Yeah, it's been an experience.
It's like Haelum's like, what do we do with this? Oh wait, I think
Like,
I've heard
don't
of
need
this.
I don't need this. Who can have this?
It's funny because, like, just to elaborate on that a little more, so the Kenku people are basically a race of raven people who can't directly speak. They actually have to mimic in order to communicate. So Koshi is basically a walking, talking soundboard. And because of this, I've had all sorts of opportunities to pull out all sorts of references, especially when Koshi first met them. Basically, got some rare things on sale, stranger. Things like that. So I've had a lot of fun with that, and
It's gonna be even more fun going forward.
oh yeah, and right out the gate, Koshi tried to pull one over on these two, but could not get their foot in.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
You were trying to sell like nature potions to a druid, you fool. You absolute buffoon. I don't know what to tell you, but that's not a good looking plant right there.
Just want to give you guys a quick look at their avatars on screen.
Yeah.
Because you can see that Koshi ain't okay.
They are not. Again, they got like the sores and bumps all over their skin. Their beak is broken in various places. If you didn't know otherwise, you would probably be convinced that Koshi was completely blind, given their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And even their like robe setup is made up of different patches and scraps of like other fabrics and discarded clothing. They are basically just I forget the name of that race, but basically those hooded aliens from the first Star Wars movie, only even scrappier and also burb.
And I love that Haelum is just gorgeous, and I love that the design actually came from an adoptable.
Oh, yeah. Can I talk about that really quickly?
Please.
Yeah.
So I love adoptables. I love buying designs that people make either custom or pre-made, and I love supporting artists and their designs because, like, as an artist, I can only come up with so much of my own unique design, and I love taking a character and giving them life. Haelum here was a character I bought secondhand from an artist named MX Pastel on DeviantArt. On my Toy House account under the same username, SerenaMidori, all my characters are listed there. Haelum and all of her art is there, and her original design with this like beautiful like skin pattern and dress was designed by this person, MX Pastel, and just she's so pretty, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I love her.
We stand.
And Ariadne, being a half-elf, but specifically a pallid elf variation, is very, well, pale. I love the detail of the blackened scleras.
Woo. Thank. Yeah. We had the idea, so I was like, and so cause like actual pallid elves, the entire eyes are like black, so it's like, ooh. But then half elf, right? So like, one parent is pallid elf, the other parent's human, and it's like, okay, we'll take the best of both worlds. You can have some pupils as a snack.
No!
Oh my.
So yeah.
Don't eat eyes!
It took me a bit, but I had fun like designing the character.
Oh, yes.
Screeves at that reference sheet.
So, oh god. Alright, let's see if I can bring this in. Oh, I can't. Alright.
DeviantArt represent, let's go.
I have not been on DeviantArt for a while. Alright, let's try and get this centered on the action right here in the center square.
Let's go.
Let's see. Oh, yes, that's right. It's my turn to set the scene, so to speak.
Absolutely.
You guys ready?
Nerds.
Yeah.
All right. The after effects of the storm are brutal. While the buildings all remain standing, they've taken a beating. Obviously, I have reflected this on the map by doing absolutely nothing to it. They've taken a beating. Windows have broken. Doors have come off hinges. Decorations have been strewn about along with the branches and other debris. Thankfully, the people of Vermouth have come out relatively unscathed. As more emerge from hiding, a few injuries can be spotted, but perhaps it's not surprising that a village used to dealing with danger knows how to prevent the worst from happening during an emergency. They begin the cleanup around the village, confused. Apparently, my mouth decided to water at that idea.
Just as I'm taking a sip of my water.
Delicious.
You did it to me! Okay.
You did this to me, you bastard.
Clean up around the village, confused and murmuring about what just happened. Those who had taken refuge in the Reliable Rest Inn, I wrote room, I'm an idiot. Anyway, Reliable Rest Inn, point in your direction. The stables that the strange, quote-unquote, adventurers had holed up in, swings its doors wide, and a cloaked person emerges alongside their easily provoked companion, searching around and scanning the damage done. Sovalis remains sat upon the stairs to the inn, staring into the distance, processing the implications of your conversation with Danforth Thanasi and his son, Davies. But perhaps of more immediate concern is the grand reveal Lyronus shared with you moments ago, that he hopes that with your help he might finally be able to return home to the night sky. And there we go.
And I love how Koshi was completely absent, or at least across the river for that reveal.
Well, they would have been they still would have been in earshot.
Would they have been?
Yeah.
I thought they'd already jumped in.
They're not that far.
Fair. Lyronus is a loud motherfucker, so.
I'm pretty sure that everybody in town heard what he said.
Besides which, I'm pretty sure that Lyronus said it, like, almost loudly. Like, he was basically like, and now I know that I can rely on you to help me get back up to the sky! Back to my home in the sky!
Let me loudly announce my backstory so all the NPCs are on the same page.
Loud noises!
No, but I love that about him. I love that about him. Haelum doesn't.
Yes. Loudly declaring, and so...
He carries his heart in his sleeve, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, how do you guys react to finding out, oops, shit, he's the star?
So...
Does Haelum know what that means?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I might have Koshi roll insight, just to see if they can parse together what it is that Lyronus is talking about.
Lyronus says it point blank. We still have to figure out, do we understand him?
Exactly.
I mean...
So would that be an insight thing?
I guess
nothing else to help us with our roleplay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and roll insight.
Alright.
Koshi, you
Koshi
are fixated on the statue right now.
Oh yeah, Koshi saw shiny, so Koshi is heading towards shiny.
Yep. Koshi, you didn't even hear him announce the whole thing. Your head was underwater, in fact, when he declared it.
Oh.
Because Koshi crossed the river to get to the other side.
I
First
like
roll
to
of the game was
imagine.
a nat 1.
I like to imagine, by the way, that Koshi sort of did that thing that when ducks like duck their head under the water and their feet sort of waggle in the air
Aw.
on their way over to the other side.
Took a drink of water.
Not a duck.
Exact, just like watching just the bullshit from the previous like boss battle, I guess you'd call it. Away.
I wasn't even gonna have that be a difficult fucking check. In fact, it probably would have been fine if you had not rolled a goddamned 1.
Listen,
First roll of the stream was a natural 1. This is going great.
I know,
Have I
right?
made anything in any D&D game I've been part of easy? I mean, again, Em and Andrew in the chat can attest to this.
You're here to make things difficult. I've decided I will not cause problems today, and Haelum has finally understood what is happening.
You've heard of the chicken crossing the road? No, it's the
There's a
Oh.
joke here somewhere.
Okay.
I would say that Haelum is just staring at Lyronus at this point because she's waiting for him to go like, haha, gotcha, just kidding. And that's not happening, is it?
Nope, he is smiling happily while he's still holding on to the two of you.
Can I roll a wisdom saving throw?
Sure. I mean, I will say that that's kind of... Let's just say if it's under 10, lose it. Over 10, you're fine.
Cool,
basic
yeah.
easy.
It's just a flavored text thing, cause...
Oh, you're fine.
Awesome!
You're fine, you're fine.
Cool. Yeah! Go! Okay. Okay, she's processing. She's taking the news well. There's a moment of like,
She's being hugged by the star.
yeah.
Are you excited, Miss Circle of the Stars?
Listen, she literally like got into stars because of the sticking Starburst thing. So it's like everything is led up to this, and it's like, oh, the stars, they're aligning.
All those
literally.
years of fan fiction have led to this moment.
Because like when the star first like up and blew up and disappeared, it's like, oh no, that star's story and everything. But it's like, oh wait, the star's actually alive. It's right here. And so it was a good thing to go after him and like try to help him out and all. And it's just like, okay, so everything she's done up to this point regarding this, okay, all right.
I mean, the truth is that the bursting of the star was not the end of its story, but instead the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So,
She's taking that well.
Oh, I
she'll
get it
just...
now.
Literally got a walking, talking white dwarf here.
something like that.
Oh,
He's not a dwarf. He looks human.
You know what I mean.
he's
No, I don't, in fact. No.
Basically, when stars go supernova, they transform into something called a white dwarf sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I
He's
think
very
so.
compressed. And no less shiny. Okay.
So okay.
So Ariadne's handling it.
She's handling it. She's speechless. She's gonna kind of just, you know how he's hugging both of them. She'll just hug him back a little tighter first.
Haelum would like to be let go now.
Yeah, I mean, if she indicates that, he will let go, but he'll still be beaming. I guess
She
in some...
squirms.
All right, he lets her go, but just like smiling at her. Okay.
Yeah, she's watching them hug and still trying to wait for the whole just kidding. Realizing it's not happening, she wants to ask, but I will hold off because you were going to say something.
Well, I was even gonna say, Koshi, what the fuck are you doing?
Koshi is doing what they do best and staring at a shiny object. As you elaborated on near the end of last session, they noticed something glinting from the statue of the goddess at the end of their, well, I guess, awakening of their powers. And so they decided, while there was still political talk going on with the representatives, or at least the self-professed representatives of the town, they would go over and investigate the shiny. They have not done anything in terms of like climbing up on the statue or anything like that. They're just looking over there and, I guess, sort of examining to see if anything has changed about the statue. So would that be a perception or investigation?
That's going to be an investigation roll.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Investigation.
Nice.
Investigate.
Okay, so one thing that you notice, I mean, this wasn't even really all that difficult to find. It was just there, especially because, you know, when you were last looking at this thing, everything that was on it had rotted completely, like right in front of you. So there's a new thing here, but it stands out because even rotted, it's still kind of shiny to an extent. A new offering was laid, an amber ring of gold, already fully decayed. And something else that you find a scrap of black cloth caught on one of the trinkets added to the statue.
I'm wondering if I could roll anything to see if Koshi could parse together what sort of like clothing or object that cloth came from. Would that be maybe like history or
Let me
Roll a cloth roll.
I was gonna say I know it's a very specific thing, but just because again I'll even say Koshi spent a lot of time rummaging through garbage cans and things like that in like the city they were living in up until like the start of the campaign.
Potentially for a role like that, since it's akin to tracking, it might be like a survival role.
I was thinking the same, being able to piece
Yeah.
together the information from what I was actually literally debating that. So yeah, roll a survival check.
All right, let's take a look.
Okay.
Oh.
The cloth.
You're a survivor.
Damn,
Who's done
son.
it?
You're a survivor. Okay, it came from statue cloth. All right.
Roll a statue check.
I mean that was in fact Koshi's thought process there.
So what you can actually make out is that this is actually a fairly standard cloak kind of cloth. It's somewhat like woolen, I think it is, so it's thicker, so you know that it's built to like endure the elements. You know, something that is meant to, say, for example, endure a storm.
So Koshi, seeing this cloth, sort of like kind of chatters and clicks, like so like taps their beak as they sort of examine this thing. Again, going through the minds like what, given their experience with looking at various types of clothing, both rural and urban, kind of gauging what kind of garment it could have come from before tucking it away in their bag.
All right, everyone roll perception.
All right.
What do I see with my eyes?
I rolled a nat
Nothing.
1. I rolled a
You
nat
know?
1 for Lyronus.
Lyronus, no.
Lyronus
There
is
it
a
is.
So Lyronus was already built to be somewhat oblivious in some ways, but his rolls have consistently made him oblivious. He has not figured out that like half of the young people in this town are like in love with him.
I would say himbo, but he's like more of a twink.
He's
I mean,
a twinbo?
Twinbo.
Twinkle little star, right?
he is Twinbo.
He's twinbo. God. So I mean, a himbo, yeah, okay, he's twinbo, I guess. But yes, no, he's in like even instances where like paying attention to what other people were doing, he like got distracted by Koshi doing something with the statue, interestingly enough. But yeah, this is another example of he's just happy. He's so happy to have found you guys. It's so wonderful that he's not listening at all.
Nothing else is happening.
So let's see these other roles here. Cool. Interestingly enough, Haelum, you actually hear two villagers talking. This even fucking works a little bit too in terms of the range of it. You hear two villagers actually talking indistinctly nearby, but you cannot make out what they're actually saying. Koshi and Ariadne, you're able to actually hear this. You hear those two villagers talking nearby, and while you can't make out everything, you can still hear them say suspicious, black cloak, and right before the storm.
So, what direction were these villagers in?
Let's say, especially because this even makes sense with the distance, let's put them right about there.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that does make sense.
in terms of the range of what people are able to actually make out in here. Like, maybe closer to, like, here.
Ham's got long enough ears she can notice it. Dope.
I have a terrible idea.
What is your idea?
Koshi, hearing this, looks down to the piece of cloth they just found on the statue, and you said that the villagers are over this way. Just
Which about?
one?
Yeah,
Like,
they're in that
about where
direction.
So I could see Koshi grasping the cloth piece in their hand, like sort of like waddling because they're still a little wet from jumping into the river there.
They're
They
soaked.
They waddle their way over, like looking up to the villagers, holding up the cloth piece and saying, "Which way did they go, George? Which way did they go?"
Oh my god. So, Griffin has decided that a character trait of Koshi is, in order to speak, they speak in continuous references, pop culture references, and memes.
I legit have a sheet here, like 4 pages long, of various media quotes that I'm using for, basically as like Koshi's like verbal dictionary.
Is it better or worse than the Kenku I played where I had a literal soundboard on my phone that I would use in lieu of talking?
I am not gonna lie, I was damn tempted to try and get something set up for that, but Laura's flat out said, "I'm gonna veto that."
Yeah.
I think this is the better option, honestly.
Yes. I'm going to force you to voice act if you're going to do something dumb like that.
Fudge.
So, which way did he go? The villagers startle at this, because I believe,
They run away screaming.
do they have the beak actually?
Yeah, Koshi does not have their hood up. You know, they're just like, they don't care at this point.
They're just straight up,
They are in
naked.
full view in front of like the gods and everyone they made.
So they are bald Kenku mode. Alright, hang on a second. Alright.
Bald,
Oh!
Bald.
Okay. So one of them, okay, they both startle, but one of them is just like, oh, goodness, that was... The other one shrieks and starts to run away, but the other one catches her arm before she can get too far.
Beautiful.
And then, so the first one, like, again, looking at her friend who started to run, looking back over to Koshi and like, what are you?
That's neither here nor there. And so once again, Koshi lifts up the scrap of cloth and sort of like parrots back what he heard of them saying about a dark cloaked figure.
Mm-hmm. Suspicious black cloak and right before the storm is what you heard.
Yes,
And so they exchange...
They parrot it back in their voice.
Yeah. They kind of, like, blink a little bit and let's see, alright? Neither of them have any idea what you are. But they understand you now at the very least. Oh, you're wondering... And then actually they look at the cloth that you have extended towards them. Oh, where did you find that?
Koshi turns around and points to the statue.
Oh, that makes sense. I just saw someone who had actually approached the statue before. I don't suppose you happened to see them either before everything went, up in wind?
Koshi sort of like tilts their head, as sort of like to convey a bit of confusion.
Right. Well, there was this suspicious person who was, wearing a black cloak, that exact shade, in fact. They got up really close to the statue, and they did something to it right before the storm actually started. I only saw them briefly, but, I got distracted when the clouds appeared, and they were gone by the time I glanced back.
Interesting. So at that point, Koshi is sort of like thinking and then goes, enchantments?
Huh. And the one lady who witnessed this kind of thinks on that. Oh, well, I suppose that would make sense. And she kind of thinks about it, but how would anyone get anything magical out this way? I mean, we're a little far from, I suppose, most other civilizations, certainly the bigger cities.
So at this point, Koshi just sort of again looks down at the scrap of cloth and once again sort of, oh.
I just rolled for Lyronus to notice the conversation. He rolled a 6.
Good.
Yeah,
I
that
might have something to help that later.
that certainly tracks.
I mean,
And at this, oh, go ahead.
I forgot to even add in the fucking modifiers and all of that for the skill check. So actually, I will say with that involved, he rolled a 6, which means that he's still not really paying attention, but he does actually kind of notice Koshi addressing the two women, and I think he might even point it out to Haelum and Ariadne, like, oh, I wonder what they're up to.
I think at that point, Ariadne might mention to both Haelum and Lyronus what she'd heard.
Okay.
The suspicious black cloak and right before the storm.
Yeah, and like in a way that's like, you know, like we will talk about the star thing later, but first I think I heard something down yonder.
I don't think Haelum would even wait to even discuss that part. I would have her kind of walk that direction towards the bridge to cross the river, Koshi.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like an adult.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Lyronus will walk with Ariadne, like, even like in an escort sense, offering to continue basically, like, continue to have, well, I was gonna say, like, leading her by the hand, but like up, like in a gentlemanly sense.
Oh. He hesitates for a moment, but then takes the hand. Let's go, Fudger.
He's a good boy.
Oh, yes.
All right.
And so you mentioned that the women were saying, I'm not even sure where you would find like magical things out this way, something like that.
Yes.
And so to that, Koshi responds, some things in this world are better left where they lie. But if you know where to look, these ruins are full of riches.
The second one, who shrieked earlier, stares at them and then says, let's go inside. I think we have things to clean up inside, she says to her friend, who looks between the two of them and then kind of, like, smiles weakly, kind of hesitantly towards Koshi, basically saying, well, there is a lot of cleanup to do, but I don't suppose you're wrong, but, well... And then, like, again, they kind of trail off, not sure what else to say, and they do start to head off.
So they're not going to tell Koshi where they saw... I mean, did they see where the cloaked figure went?
No, because she glanced away as soon as the clouds started forming, and by the time she glanced back, the figure was gone.
Okay, so seeing them wander away, Koshi, just to make sure that they don't have any more information, goes, is that all, stranger?
I think that at that point, the woman looks over at Koshi as they're kind of still heading back into, you know, their house, and like, you know, well, I'm not sure what else you want me to say. That's all I saw.
Thank you.
All right, let's get these fuckers over here.
Hello.
So, yeah, Lyronus comes over and, like, you know, he was still leading Ariadne by the hand, but then at this point, he leans over Koshi's shoulder and says, well, what was that about?
And upon feeling like, feeling Lyronus, like, peek over their shoulder, they go, number 1, don't you ever touch me again. Number 2, don't you ever touch me again.
He straightens up at that. Oh, sorry, I guess I'm still not used to this.
I'm loving this. Like, I've missed playing this little shit.
Koshi, be nice. And why don't you tell me what you and those ladies were talking about?
Okay, so You know that gag in like the old Rubber Hose cartoons where like someone touches like a record player and like lifts their mouth and just you hear the music coming out of it?
Like
Mhm.
Stitch.
Yeah, imagine that, but with Koshi repeating what they heard from the two women.
Open speak, just replays it.
Pretty
Mhm.
much.
Well, we're all caught up now.
Yep.
Nice.
Lyronus does
So-
think emoji face.
So it sounds like somebody messed with the statue, and that's what caused the storm. But
That
it
sound-
also sounds like they don't expect to have many magical occurrences or items around here.
Lyronus nods, and again, like I said, think emoji face. Well, I mean, that would make sense. But of course, well, that's confusing, isn't it? After all, they are cursed.
Do they consider curses and magical items to not be related? I mean, it's all magic all the way down.
True. I said that in my voice and not Lyronus's voice, but that's anyway.
I imagine that's the whole nods instead of says anything out loud situation.
Yeah, so yeah, let's just say he nods, and then kind of like glancing around, but still, perhaps there is no magical item around. Because again, you haven't told them that you found the thing perhaps at the statue yet. You just repeated what you heard from them. So he goes, well, I mean, I suppose if there are no magical items around, that would explain why they don't know what caused any kind of curse. If it was
And,
someone or something.
So to that, Koshi sort of clicks again and goes, typical of humans. They scratch the surface and never think to look within. And at that point, Koshi points over to the statue.
Lyronus actually kind of chuckles at that, given what he just revealed.
Yeah.
Actually, Koshi, he's human adjacent. But what's that about the statue?
Yes, I'd rather
Koshi-
look at that instead.
Yeah. So Koshi sort of again tilts their head before kind of shaking off like the odd implications, just like waddling back over in front of the statue and pointing to where they found the scrap of cloth.
Okay.
I see. Was there anything else there, Koshi?
Koshi shakes their head.
There was the ring.
Wait, was there? Oh yeah, the
Amber ring.
The amber ring of
Yeah.
gold.
That's true. I guess like it didn't really click as much with Koshi considering they thought it was all kind of moldy and gunky. But
It would have been more like
I-
rusted, because it's made of gold, but like,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's fair.
not rusted, but, decayed.
Yeah, I was about to say I'll roll for history, but that was like 5 minutes ago. So
Yeah.
I don't think
Short-term
Koshi
memory
is.
loss bird.
Yeah, I don't think Koshi has like Dory memory.
Oh my
so-
god, Koshi is the ADHD character of this
Please
campaign.
stop
Yes.
giving them problems.
Oh yeah, so Koshi thinks for a moment, but then sort of like, lightly picks up the rusty ring and holds it in front of them.
And let's see. Oh, what? If you want to roll Arcana,
All of us.
if you want to, other than that, you might try History.
All right. Well, both are the same for me, so
Oh,
I'll
jeez.
go with.
Rolling an Arcana.
Yeah,
Rolls
no, that
of
tracks
art.
for Koshi.
Oh,
Why do we
goodness.
know nothing about magic?
I
I
mean,
mean,
Put my expertise in Arcana, do it.
I will say.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, you first if you want.
I was just gonna say, all things considered, it makes sense for the Elven ambassador to get the best Arcana roll on that check.
Yeah. All that you guys can really see at this point is basically a ring. Haelum, you can actually tell that this is probably some kind of magical ring. And I'm gonna roll a secondary check for, oh god, okay. So Lyronus is an oblivious little shit, but he actually holds out his hand to Koshi and indicating, do you mind if I see that?
Koshi does not resist, again, seeing that this thing is covered in rust and not as pretty shiny as it could potentially be, sort of like, because I imagine like they're sort of like holding it with like the tips of their like claws and just sort of like plops it into Lyronus's hand.
At that point, he takes it and kind of examines it very closely, checking for any kind of inscription, anything that would be, you know, any kind of giveaway. He says, well, this directly contradicts what those women just said. This is most definitely magical. I'm not entirely sure.
Necessarily contradict.
True.
Sorry, not to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's certainly magical, some kind of magic. As far as I can tell, I don't get any particular sense of whether or not it was, well, intentioned one way or another. It certainly has expended at this point, though. There's definitely no charge left in this thing.
No charge left. Oh no, I was wondering if detect magic would help any. But if there's no charge left, then
Yeah, there's no charge left, so
it wouldn't be helpful.
yeah.
So I'm thinking...
It would have to be identify, I think.
Haelum holds out her hand to take the ring. Just wordlessly, like, hand out to Lyronus.
And he stares at her blankly for a second, and then again seems to light on and goes, "Oh!" and then hands over the ring, smiling.
She smiles back and she says, well, if you don't think it's necessary, I could try to identify what it used to do. Just because it's no longer has any charge doesn't mean I can't still tell if it has a magical effect.
And at this, his eyes go shiny, and he's just big beaming. Oh, you can do that?
She just nods, and I'm gonna cast Identify. Bloop.
Good call.
Cool. What you can tell about this is that because it takes, let's see, about 1 minute. So a minute after all of this is happening, like you're kind of like the information kind of slowly trickles in as the spell takes effect, and what you actually sense in the ring, it's definitely no longer active. Like whatever charges were in there are no longer there. However, you are able to make out that what was stored in there was one charge of some sort of hag magic.
So it's kind of like the magic she can tell it's in there. It would be like trying to match up the magic with like the name of an actual spell she would know, and this is like hey, this is some black magic shit. Like, oh, that doesn't have a name. That's bad.
This shit ain't got sense to it.
So she'll reveal that to the rest of the group and actually kind of labeling it as hag magic as well. Considering the whole Fae background thing, she would at least be able to pick up on that.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
So I might have Koshi roll history to see whether or not he has any experiences with hags.
You would know if you have experience with hags.
Fair enough. I guess the main thing I was thinking is like lots of people pass in through big cities, and I guess he would like know whether or not like if there are any specific calling cards related to them.
All right. Let me think for a second. If you want to roll for whether or not you have actually encountered anything like that, yeah, roll history.
All right.
Okay. You have probably, I mean, hags don't typically go into town or anything like that, but I think that you've probably heard stories from people talking about experiences with hags, like people telling a story of, man, there was like a hag that lived near my village when I was there, and she would eat babies, and like the standard.
Oh, my ex-wife.
God, my ex-wife, man, she was a total hag. Anyway, you've heard tell of hags over the years, and basically you've gotten the impression that their magic is definitely not the same as a lot of people who do typical arcane spellcasting.
So, at that point, Koshi, thinking back to these stories, sort of like clicks, shows a bit of agitation. Dark magic. What good does this useless rubbish do us?
Well, perhaps if we find the owner, we might get some answer or other. Could be worth a shot.
Let me see. I'm just gonna check something.
Mm-hmm. And, if it's okay to note, I think at this point, takes out a piece of paper and starts fudge-sticking, making note of the amber ring.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thanks.
I think that works, and I think also, like, keeping that in mind, what was mentioned, Koshi might also sort of come to the conclusion, oh, if someone is looking to this, they might want it returned, and if they want it returned, that might lead to a potential reward. And at this, Koshi sort of like clicks their beak again, sort of scratching the bottom of it with their claw before going crisscross.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, what? Yeah, that was just...
So-
Lyronus is like, I think I could see that happening at exactly the same time. Lyronus and Haelum turning towards Koshi. I'm sorry, what?
You scratch my back. And Koshi once more gestures to the ring. Again, I'm trying to think of like which specific quotes might lead to basically them trying to convey if someone wants this, they could trade it for something in return.
Oh, you scratch my back points to ring, I scratch yours.
Koshi nods.
I'm gonna see. Well, what's his stat on this? He is rolling really bad on the inside again.
He has no idea what's going on.
No, I mean, he does actually piece it together. He kind of, it does take him a second, but then he goes, you're saying perhaps there was some sort of purchase or trade that brought this into town.
Koshi was admittedly not thinking that, but again, wanting to take credit where, even if the credit is not due, they just sort of like blindly nod.
Like, yes, that is what I meant.
Yes, exactly.
Squints.
So would that be like, would I have to roll for BS on that, or?
No, don't worry about that.
Okay, just want to check.
So, some way, somehow, this ring with hag magic made its way to this statue, which caused the storm. We don't know who brought it, but we do know someone with a black cloak brought it into town, whether they are the ones who made it or they traded for it. Are we all on the same page there?
Lyronus nods.
Koshi nods.
I suppose so.
So a thought occurs to Koshi. They've been referring all this time to suspicious characters, or a suspicious character in a black cloak.
Mm-hmm.
What other suspicious characters have recently made their way into town? So at this point, Koshi pulls out the black cloth piece again and sort of mutters, "Stranger." And at this point,
getting at.
yeah, I apologize. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
I'm just double checking my notes on something. Okay, so I'm even gonna say, just for the sake of convenience anyway, almost as if on cue, someone, let's see, go there. A certain someone, exits the inn.
It's our friend! It's my friend!
It's Jimothy.
Even Haelum kind of lights up, because, like, she was about to say, like, I understand what you're saying, Koshi. I think you're implying it's one of our new friends. There were like 3, air quotes, adventurers we ran into, and we pissed off one of them, very funnily. But this guy was actually kind of cooperative, and Haelum's like, yes, someone we can get information from. And so she's gonna be like, I'm going this way.
So I think, like, so he leaves the inn and he kind of, like, stops. Sophilis is still kind of staring into the distance and he's continued to look somewhat pale. So I think Jimothy, just as a flavor thing, as you're approaching, is, like, trying to, like, almost, like, he looks around and then, like, gently nudges his shoulder, like, you okay, dude? Sovalis kind of startles out of it, looks up at him, smiles weakly, but doesn't really say anything. Jimothy shrugs. Also, yes, Lyronus is tagging along.
Leyus
Ooh,
jumped over the lake. I'm just kidding.
let's go.
Come with me. Come with me. We're going to talk to boy.
All
Let's go,
right.
everyone.
And
So
he's...
uncharacteristically, Koshi just sort of decides, bridge is fine. Everyone's going that way anyway. Follow the leader. All
Which
that.
is fine.
I feel like as he was crossing, or as they were crossing, Lyronus actually, like, stopped to see that Koshi was using the bridge and actually smiled, like, shiny-eyed, happy, and is like, oh, we're teaching him things! Or we're teaching them things.
So would I have to roll to see if Koshi notices him like smiling like that?
You probably noticed.
You notice.
Okay, so if Koshi notices, then they just kind of like mutter under their breath. Twitter-pated.
Nothing wrong with using a bridge, Koshi. Thank
All
you for
right.
giving it a shot.
Lyronus has no idea what that means. Anyway, so...
Hello, friend. It's so good to see you again.
Jimothy almost kind of startles, and then on seeing Haelum approaching, actually kind of smiles and steps forward. Yes, it's been, 5 minutes?
Oh, it's been too long. And she laughs. It's a joke.
He chuckles along with that too. But it does seem as though, and he looks around, the storm has cleared.
Yes, good thing that.
And I understand that it was you and your friends.
Yes, we may have had something to do with that. She kind of motions to the rest of them.
Lyronus waves.
A little help. Nothing too serious.
Koshi does nothing, just sort of like tilts their head like a typical confused burb.
And that Lyronus actually at Ariadne trying to underplay it and says, no, don't undersell what you did. It was actually amazing. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do it without you.
Okay, I suppose. Okay.
Jimothy smiles at this.
Haelum gives them a knowing look, and then turns back to Jimothy and just says, "Oh, but it's a good thing we managed to figure out what to do. Otherwise, you would have been separated from your party as well. I suppose you'll be meeting up with them."
He glances around, and almost as if it was cute or something.
Let's go.
All right, let's fucking
Let's go cutscenes.
drop these fuckers here. I will say he looks around first over here at where the stables were, and then over in this direction where they had their wagons effectively set up. Their one wagon. Because I was going to say you could have... Okay, so I will say that as if on cue they popped up on the screen, but flavor text is basically you can see the other adventurers leading their horses and wagon out of the stables and checking everything, looking as if they look like they're... as though they plan on leaving. Packing everything up, putting things away. And Jimothy, seeing this, his face kind of, like, it's not exactly unreadable, but, like, it's kind of like he's not sure what to make of this development, but then sighs. Yes, it would be such a shame if I were separated from them. But, well, I suppose that's the risk that you take when you're trying to scout out an estate that, And he pauses. Actually, I'm going to rephrase that. When you're trying to scout out an area that you don't belong in.
Oh yes, it must be difficult when, you're in a, trying to see how she would say it, like, inferring like, oh yeah, you're like a fish out of water situation. You're new in town. It's hard to know where to go. She's downplaying what he's saying because she knows what he's referring to. And she's also trying to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, he chuckles, and at this, there's something of like a humble smile as he says this, but it's still definitely pride in what he's saying. He says, oh, well, I always know where I'm going. It's just a matter of making sure I know where I am, too. To that extent, I probably should actually rejoin them. It does appear that plans have changed. I should probably check in with them about that.
Plans changing? I suppose it could happen on any adventure, but I wonder what would have happened. Was it just the storm? Because it's cleared up now. Should be no problems.
Well, I don't know. Unfortunately, again, the last I heard from them was we were planning a particular investigation to find out what was going on here. And, I guess the storm changed their mind?
Do they change plans on you a lot? Like, do they keep you out of the loop on a lot of things?
He laughs. No, I think that the only reason I don't know what's going on is because of physical proximity more than anything else.
Oh, so you know exactly what they've been doing then?
I had the sneaking suspicion about what they were up to while I was doing my own investigation. You might find a few houses are a little bit lighter on the silverware, if you catch my meaning.
Oh, well, that's just another thing added onto the list, but that's not what I was talking about.
Oh?
I actually have a question for you, and I don't think it would be wise for you to leave until you've answered it.
Oh?
She's like kind of like looking at the rest of the other two knowingly. So she kind of eyes one of them and says, "Does that one like to wear black cloaks a lot?"
Indicating the one with the black cloak?
Yes, the one that's wearing the black cloak. She points at that one and says, "Does he like to wear black cloaks a lot?" I can't tell.
And so Jimothy glances back at the black cloaked figure and says, "Well, it's usually standard wear whenever we're outside of our own home base, so to speak. Very common for traveling. Why do you ask?"
Does he take care of it? Like, does he often... I mean, you all are travelers, of course, and not everyone can wear fancy regalia as you're walking around, but obviously little cuts and scrapes and loose pieces of fabric.
Well, actually, that cloak is usually very well taken care of.
Interesting. You wouldn't mind if we checked it this time, would you?
Well, I certainly would not mind, but you may want to ask first.
Oh, I can be very persuasive.
Koshi lifts up a pair of hands with like sort of wiggly, grabby fingers.
He actually smiles at the "I can be very persuasive," and I want you to roll insight, Haelum, if you want. Anyone, I suppose, can, but...
Help me.
Okay, let's go
I
inside.
got a 12.
I'm going to
roll
look
higher.
with
Okay,
my
that's
eyes.
Okay,
higher than a 12.
this is funny.
Oh.
Haelum, what you can tell is that he does seem to have, like, this moment of, like, appreciation for what you said. Koshi, you can kind of tell the same, like, he's definitely in agreement of, yes, you can be very persuasive. Ariadne, you pick up that this isn't just simply an admiration for her skill and persuasion.
Oh. Wait.
This
What does
is...
that mean?
Oblivious people.
Wait, what does that mean?
Okay.
Mm.
Explicitly, there appears to be an admiration that is not based in her persuasion.
Listen, she's very pretty. I understand.
I am
We
the
can
prettiest
both
one
stand
in
her.
the room. Or else.
Lyronus ain't gonna disagree.
Or else, Lyronus.
He ain't gonna disagree.
Bush-sticking under her breath, bush-sticking. Ariadne looking over at Timothy. I understand where you're coming from.
So,
You're valid.
Haelum wants to try to persuade Jimothy to let her try to persuade the other two to stand still just for a moment so that Koshi can try to, like, match the cloaks with the piece of fabric.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
To see if we can figure out if one of these fuckers did it.
It would be for a good cause.
Sorry, I heard the faint bark. But, anyway. Yeah, no, you don't have to persuade, Jimothy of letting you come over.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you, I guess, to put it another way, what do you want to ask his help with keeping their attention off of Koshi?
I think one of two things, and I think this is more of a meta question for the team too. More like either have everyone come with Haelum and kind of distract the people enough so Koshi can kind of slip around and do the roguish thing, and like try to match up the scrap of fabric with any part of their current cloaks to see if this came off of one of their cloaks now. I don't think that they would have had time to change if it did. Or the other option is Haelum goes to distract and the others sneak around while they aren't looking. Like, both ideas basically get to the other two, because based off of the icon, I'm assuming that Jimothy's cloak is not black.
Nope, it would probably be... It would probably... I'll just say that it's probably the green.
So they're looking at the two, they see at least one guy with an actual black cloak. It's like, if we can match this scrap of fabric with a hole on their black cloak, then this is at least the evidence we need to say, yeah, you fuckers put this ring here.
So maybe like Koshi could do like a sleight of hand thing to try and compare
Yeah.
like, the scrap.
Oh,
Haelum's hoping that Koshi can pick up on that.
evidence.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll insight to see
yeah.
if Koshi picks up on that.
Hold it.
Yeah, hold it.
Yeah, you actually pick up on the, hey, you want to sneak around back on that kind of thing?
Koshi gives a sort of like, not
Affirmative
explicitly
click.
say anything, but sort of like give an indication of like, I register what you're
Yeah.
dishing out.
Mm-hmm.
So then, last meta question for the team. Should Haelum go, air quotes, by herself to talk with the others, or should they all go? Because I feel like if we all went, it might make them all feel a little nervous.
That's true. Plus, Haelum is the one who's primarily had experience with that group socially.
I mean,
Yeah, making fun of them.
making
I
fun of the
mean-
one.
Making fun of them to their face.
Yeah.
Which is Haelum going over, one of those!
Oh,
If
God.
you're gonna wear a cloak,
Boy,
you're gonna
you
wear it right.
Dementor-looking motherfucker.
So, what do you guys want to do?
Haelum goes on her own with Koshi following behind. I think that Ariadne and Lyronus then should also kind of be in the vicinity, at least maybe close enough to listen. You guys could hide, I mean, looking at the map, accurate or not, you guys could hide behind a house.
I'm gonna-
Ooh,
That works
That's my
There's a
suggestion.
There's a little alleyway like between the two houses there, so maybe
That's
there.
true.
All right, let's see. Lyronus, my boy, can you be smart for 2 seconds?
Oh no.
If he doesn't,
You have to ask.
Actually, he can.
oh,
Okay,
he-
so I think at that, he actually, as Haelum is talking about this, what was it, the specific, I mean, I know the implications of it. I think, basically, he picks up what she's implying in terms of being able to speak with this individual. And I'm moving him up, but it's not necessarily directly right there, but somewhat adjacent to Haelum, and then smiling brightly and saying, I would actually be interested in speaking with them as well. And then winking over at Haelum.
Ah, yes, of course. That wouldn't be a problem, Lyronus.
After all, I mean, I am a very sparkling conversationalist. He literally laughs at himself like that.
Haelum places a hand on his shoulder and says, yes, but let me do the talking.
Oh, but what if I want to talk?
I know, Lyronus. I know.
I suppose I'll just have to talk with you all later.
That would be fine.
Jimothy glares at Lyronus. All right, so
dismissed from the court for this.
perhaps we can have a conversation with them, catch up on what their plans are. I mean, maybe it aligns with ours. And Jimothy glances between them, still glaring at Lyronus, and then sighing, well, I mean, if they're leaving, were you planning on leaving? Lyronus glances to Haelum.
It might be in the cards.
Especially with the right company. At this, all right, hang on a second. I'm gonna roll. Okay. And okay. Jimothy glances again between the two of them at this, somewhat appearing startled, glancing over at Haelum, and then smiling faintly and saying, "Well, I suppose it might be in our best interest for you to speak with them after all." It's a cat.
Cats and dogs roaming these streets, man. No, it's just Koshi, actually. I just realized it's Koshi. Every now and again, opening their mouth and going, meow.
Good. I can even see, like, seeing all this social, like, interaction going on and how, like, well adept Haelum is at, you know, persuading people, and, like, Lyronus trying to get in on the social action. Like, Koshi sort of leans over towards Ariadne. Their ways are not our ways.
Ooh. So
Very
behind
good with words, yes.
behind his back, Lyronus gesturing for Koshi to see, gestures basically in like this or like I guess technically this direction. Gesturing in the sense of, hey, go that way.
Alright, so should I roll perception to see if Koshi picked up on that?
Sure.
Alright.
He was being subtle.
Open your
yeah.
bird eyes.
Me making things needlessly complicated. Here we go.
Oh, do you
Yeah,
want me
no.
to roll for it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please help Koshi out.
Please.
Alright, let's help a buddy out.
Okay. Ariadne, you're able to pick up on what he's doing, gesturing over in this direction. It would have to, because the thing is that this whole area is actually part of the Thanasi estate, but like there's an area over here that you could travel, like do a fucking one of these that you could probably do like around here, hang on, around here and then back over
flip
here
around. Okay.
kind of thing.
Sure. I think to that regard, then, she'll try to excuse herself and Koshi from the conversation in a bit of a, while the rest of you sort that situation out. I think I might use the restroom and maybe Koshi. Yeah.
Take Koshi with me.
Koshi, let's go use the restroom.
This one. Yes, because the inn totally has restrooms. I takes Koshi by the, or summons, no, gestures.
After all,
Lifts Koshi and walks away.
For a split
After all,
second, for a split second, Jane, I thought you said takes Koshi by the chest hairs, and I was like, I don't think they have any of those. Especially not now.
I was even gonna say that might be an interesting idea because the Reliable Rest Inn has windows that exit out that way.
Huh.
Because the other thing too is I see Silverless is there, and there's a part of Ariadne that does want to like at least check in with him, but at the same time, I just want her to at least like, but then also he's like a convenient excuse to be like, yeah, look, see, there's an inn, dude. Well, we're totally not being sus and gonna secretly follow you guys.
Surrounded by amateurs.
You're actually fine. Jimothy is far too interested in apparently looking at Haelum.
Sweetie swooty.
See, okay, I'm doing my job then. I'm being very distracting.
Yeah.
Yes, please keep looking at me.
Just cut to Haelum do like the Aurora fan dance.
And meanwhile, Lyronus is doing the Will Smith pose at Haelum.
Yes.
In this house, we stand one hand.
In the chat, special magic item for sale, only 1 hour. Koshi, chest hair, fights dragon for you.
Oh my god.
I love like just the gradual series of like Reddit articles Em and Andrew are writing in the comments.
Okay. All right. So, Koshi, do you go with Ariadne?
I do.
All right. Do you pause to speak with Sophilus, Ariadne?
Can she notice him what's the role to notice him?
You don't have to. He's sitting on the doorsteps.
Y'all roll so much. You can see him.
He's
We
right
are
there.
method actors, okay?
See, actually, I will cut into the game because I did want to actually make note of that for us and also the audience. I did notice this. We tend to do a lot of rolls to figure out what our characters would do. We don't always make those decisions unless it's like set in stone. I find that interesting, but I will say, like, if we have to roll for ourselves, maybe just roll and not be like okay, DM, now you have to think of an answer to this. If it's just for us internally, maybe we should keep like a personal die to help us make those decisions. Because like I feel bad. It's like, Lord, do I have to roll insight for this? It's like, I don't know. Can you hear them talking?
Yeah.
I pretend I do not see.
I'm actually gonna grab some dice.
Okay.
No, sorry. I just found that interesting.
Yeah. It just means that you're trying to make sure that you're fitting in with what I'm trying to lay down here. So no, Ariadne, you do not have to roll anything to see that Sovolus is still sitting there. He looks not okay, but a little bit better. And I think that after Jimothy even, like, touched him and kind of broke him out of it, he started to stand up and, like, kind of, like, pat down his legs a little bit, just as a gesture of, like, okay, time to come back to reality kind of motion.
Snap back to reality. Whoop.
I think to that regard, like, she kind of, like, hand motions to Koshi to, like, go ahead to the inn room if he doesn't want to, like, sorry, if they don't want to, like, stick around and such. She'll just, like, as a, she's gonna quickly check in with him before hopping through the window. If that's okay with Koshi.
Yeah, Koshi sort of, like, shrugs and, just sort of proceeds.
I'll catch up with you soon. And then turns to Sovolus and it's like, are you alright, sir?
What? Oh, well, and at this he kind of puts his hand on the back of his neck in a gesture of, like, you know, not awkwardness, I guess, and, like, all things considered, I suppose I'm fine. I had not thought. Well, either way. And then he smiles at Ariadne. Thank goodness for you and your friends.
Well, we're glad to help any way we can, but... wait, is he... Do I have to roll insight on what he just said, or...
You can roll insight on the fact that he's not okay.
Yeah, because, like, would she take it at face value, or would she, like...
So, what you actually even pick up is that after what Haelum... Blackjack!
Special guest!
Special guest Blackjack!
Oh my god! Blackjack really wants
The door is open! Blackjack, just go in!
Sovolus.
Blackjack! Okay. He is... After what Haelum said with Danforth, he was badly shaken from that because of the implications that Danforth, the most powerful man in town, might have been involved in what caused the curse in the first place. Blackjack!
His wife.
Yeah, given that his wife died, too, as a result of the curse. So, like, update to audience and all of that. His wife died as a result of the curse. And it was actually associated somewhat with the statue because she went on one of her regular trips over to the statue of Lyra and came back from it weirdly serene. And then shortly after that was revealed to have been infected with the curse that befell the town. So, special guest Blackjack selling t-shirts after stream.
I had to mute because I was laughing so much. Like, obviously we're gonna have times where, like, other things are happening in the background and we can't help that, but, like, that's one of my two favorite things, not to, like, you know, put either of you down. My two favorite things is in the background of talking, Laura cat meowing or Jane dog barking.
Yes.
Bark, bark,
I still, not to call you out, Jane, but I still cannot get over that one instance where, like, we heard on Jane's end, like, yeah? No!
Okay, alright.
But anyway, yeah.
So, you can pick up on the fact that, like, this whole thing has, unfortunately, had some deeper implications for him that do not sit well with him.
I think to that regard, then she would say that the whole like it's a lot of news to be dropped on you, and given everything that's happened, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to need time to process everything that's happened.
And at that, he actually smiles at her. I mean, it's a weak smile, but only in the sense of, like, because of the mindset that he's in. But it's the smile of, this is someone who's used to smiling, and you actually brought that back for him. So, he smiles and puts his hand on her shoulder and says, "Thank you. You are absolutely correct. Were you headed in?" And he gestures to the door.
Actually, yes. If you don't mind, we're gonna borrow your window.
Okay, he was starting to say, "What? Come into my inn, which is open to the public, and you happened to save?" He starts to go on that so he starts with that, and then you say, "To borrow a window," and he halts himself mid-sentence, and he goes, "And take it where?"
Oh no, I mean, use your window as a way of passage, not actually take the window with us. It's just
Is there a reason you can't simply walk around outside? Do you need to do acrobatics to go through the window?
Apparently the Koshi, yes.
He laughs.
If I can explain that.
He
Hit it
laughs.
off as it's a Koshi thing, please. Please just go with it.
Alright. He just
Is she
kind of...
wrong, though? Is she wrong?
He laughs awkwardly and he goes, "Well, I suppose I don't have a problem with you doing that, but, I mean, again, I would like to reiterate that walking is an option."
True, but sometimes the road less traveled makes for... basically.
Oh, so...
The window less traveled makes for exciting tales, you know?
He nods and laughs and gestures for her to head in and starts following in behind her. So meanwhile, I'm going to flash over to what Jimothy and the other two were doing while this conversation was happening.
Yeah, but by the way, I just want to point out in the chat, my friend's going, Ariadne best.
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
So while they were making their way out there, Haelum distracting Jimothy by just being beautiful, and let me see if he did not see them going in.
Perfect.
Okay.
Nice.
So, I think at this point Lyronus actually gestures to Jimothy like in his, "Well, go ahead" kind of gesture.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks to, Jimothy looks to Haelum as if confirming that they're moving along with him.
She nods.
And so, he heads off in the direction of his friends' and Lyronus waits for Haelum to go before following along.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a tree in the way. Lyronus is not in the tree.
He climbs the tree. I'm kidding.
He would under normal circumstances, but he's trying to be shiny. So I'm gonna pop him here.
I wanna be shiny.
Hey.
Shiny.
So
You
Jimothy...
take the moon and you take the stars.
So...
I mean, star.
Jimothy approaches, and the other two... Like, there's a brief conversation of, like, acknowledgement. And, like, you actually see, like, even from their body language, that they're not happy about things. And the leader, actually, between all of them, looks at the others approaching, and then moves over in this direction, over towards where, like, because let's just say, like, there was, like, a main packing up here, but then, like, the horses and the wagon are over here, so the leader heads over in the direction of where the wagon and the horses are, and meanwhile, the other anger boy sticks around over here. And so, yeah, Jimothy walking over, seeing the leader go off in that direction, kind of shrugs and then looks to the other one and says, "So, what exactly is going on?" The other guy points at the other two with Haelum and Lyronus and says, "Maybe we can have that conversation when you don't bring idiots tailing you behind. Have you lost all sense of, like, being, of what's the word for it? Of stealth, of not getting caught?"
Haelum looks behind herself and goes, "Well, I don't see any idiots here. Weird. You must be seeing things."
He sneers at Haelum and says, "Oh, well, let me get you a mirror." Jimothy holds out his hand and says, "All right, Edgar, calm the fuck down."
Edgar.
Yes, his name is Edgar.
Fucking Edgar.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar saying, "All right, what are they doing here? Why did you bring them over here?" Jimothy sighs and says, "Well, I wanted to find out why you were packing everything up. Are we already heading out?" Edgar glares.
And barks. So
And barks.
Begins again.
Edgar glares and then says, "Yes, we're planning on getting out of this hellhole before any other weird shit happens. There's been a lot of weird shit going around here, and I don't know if you happen to overhear that apparently there's some sort of curse involving the undead or something like that." Jimothy seems slightly taken aback.
Fucking Jimmy and
Trying to
Jammy.
think about how to, because they didn't know about the curse.
Well, Jimothy did not. Apparently, Edgar and their leader were hearing some of this shit going down, so it was something that happened between the time that Jimothy went into the Thanasi estate and emerging from the storm that they found out about it, but he did not.
Let's see. Haelum would probably kind of like perk up at that and go like, "The town is cursed, you say? Well, it probably explains why we want to get out of here so fast. What did you hear about the curse?"
Edgar glares at Haelum. I mean,
Yeah,
let's
go
just
ahead.
assume it's always glaring.
Yes, go ahead.
And then says, "Well, if you didn't know that there was some sort of curse going on, now you do. You want to get out of town? Well, nothing's stopping you now, is it?"
Well, nothing except information.
What information? What was it she asked again?
She was asking what he found out. Like, well, what kind of curse is it? Like she doesn't know.
Yeah. And he says, "Well, I don't know, you could try asking the locals. I think that they tend to talk about this like as if it's something everyone should know." Lyronus shrugs and says, "Well, I mean, I heard a thing or two in my time while I was here, and yeah, I heard about a curse. So, what do you know about this curse?" Undead. That's all you need to know to want to get away from it, okay?
Oh, that makes sense. Yep, well, it's
Ah.
decided, Lyronus. We should get out of here too.
Lyronus nods in agreement. "Yes, absolutely. But you know, if undead are involved, I mean, it would be dangerous to go alone."
Oh, for sure. Just going off of what we've been hearing, if it is undead, all those caravan attacks, oof, they didn't make it out at all.
Jimothy looks at Haelum, as does Edgar, and, oh, interestingly enough, there haven't been caravan attacks out this way. No one in their right mind makes their way out to this absolute nothing in the middle of nowhere.
So then why are you here?
Okay. Roll a persuasion on that. Do you want to try rolling? Because do you get advantage on that on persuasion checks?
No. What the I'll even explain for the stream too. As a bard of eloquence, I have a silver tongue. It says you are a master at saying the right thing at the right time. When you make a persuasion or deception check, you can treat a d20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. And Haelum has a +7 to persuasion. She literally can't roll lower than a 17.
So,
I can be very persuading. Sorry.
yeah, no, you're right.
The
And so
streak begins.
what was the question again?
So then, what are you doing here? If they've just been like, we've debunked your statement that there are caravans out here, and then she's like, so why are you here?
So, he kind of thinks about that for a second. Well, there may not be much going in and out of this little town in the middle of nowhere. However, there seems to be something of an accumulation of wealth in one particular estate. You know, the biggest building in the entire town, other than the fucking windmill over there.
I see. So you were here to take an opportunity then.
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, there's not exactly a lot of royal guards out this way, right? And at this, Jimothy face palms. And you can actually see, actually, roll perception.
Damn.
Okay, I mean,
Lyronus, help.
He already rolled, and, I mean, he does actually see this, but this is more just a flavor thing anyway, that the leader also face palms, or at least, like, their head kind of dips down as they're trying to attach the horses to the wagon, in the sense of, why are you declaring this out loud? But, yeah, so, I mean, you know, it's unfortunate, but really they should be a lot more careful when it comes to advertising the fact that they've got some sort of wealthy stockpile out this way, especially when some of that happens to be, and at this, let's see, oh god, okay, Jimothy starts to hold up his hands, but he doesn't actually manage to stop his friend.
Oh boy.
So especially when some of that stockpile happens to involve, you know, dark magics. And this leader neumes right back up to Edgar and, alright, pounds him in the face, knocking him flat. And then just says, I'm sorry, did we need to make that louder for everyone in the town to hear? Or did you want your head cut off?
Koshi opens his mouth and megaphones that shit.
Oh,
Wait, do they?
No, not actually. They don't. But just
I will
like
even
the
say,
image.
at this point, Ariadne and Koshi, roll
Yeah.
stealth.
Okay.
Only one of you has to pass technically if it's a group check, but if it's
True.
not a group check, you're fucked.
I'm also-
about that,
I'm rolling
so,
their
Jane,
persuasion.
did you want to do the thing?
Or their perception.
Oh, sorry. I think Laura was saying something and we accidentally cut her off. You were saying, Laura?
I was just even saying, don't worry too much about, you're going to basically be doing this versus a perception check, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Before I do, would it be possible for Ariadne, as they're jumping out the window, to give Koshi like a little tap of guidance? It's a cantrip.
Pushes
Oh,
Koshi
yeah.
out the window, gives them guidance.
Yeah, that works.
Koshi goes in a free fall.
All right. So you can add an extra D4 to the roll if you want
Hell
to.
yeah.
Sweet. So
that's-
yeah.
Yeah. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jane.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just saying yes. Go for it.
All right. So that's stealth, you said?
Yep, and Ariadne also roll stealth.
Okay.
All right. So let's see here. And plus 1d4. Well, that's
Damn.
20.
Okay, and I'll even say, because that is a 20 in total, Ariadne, actually, you guys were both fine. Just checking the fucking perception roll as that was. You guys are both fine. Koshi, you're especially fine. Literally, like, you move as if liquid. You know,
Koshi is in their element.
yes. And Ariadne, you can take your place anywhere in this zone without necessarily being immediately spotted again.
Sweet. Hides under the stairs and cries.
At this, okay, I want to put him in the appropriate place so that he's not just like right next to the guy that just got pounded into the ground. In fact, I'm even gonna move this guy not that far. Actually, no, fuck it. He was moved that far back from the one hit.
Goddamn.
Hell yeah.
So, you guys are able to get into position. You are currently watching this conversation as it unfolds. The leader is now engaged, glaring at Edgar, and Jimothy is kind of awkwardly looking between all of them, glancing at Haelum before going over here and being like, trying to mediate this whole situation.
So, let's see. How would I do this? Would this be a sleight of hand or a perception for Koshi to be able to examine the cloak?
It would be sleight of hand because you're trying to do something without alerting the leader's attention to your presence.
So would the guidance still apply to this, or would I need another?
You already used it. Or,
You would only get another.
yeah, you
Can
only
I-
get the one.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, you can do it again if you want,
Keeps
I think.
tapping Koshi on the head.
I mean,
Just cause I'll try not to be excessive about it. I just because she knows specifically this is their mission.
It's also a cantrip, so.
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So sleight of hand versus the leader. And I'm even going to say, I'm going to check something. Oh, Haelum, please roll perception.
Oh no!
Oh no.
My perception's been
Oh,
garbage
no.
tonight. No, it's getting. It's getting worse.
Okay. I was
Very
going to...
focused on the man who got punched.
Yeah, I'm even going to say, okay. I was going to give you guys advantage if our characters were able to notice you guys coming through that side and perhaps try to distract them even further to make sure that their attention was not going to be where Koshi was. Unfortunately, well,
To be fair, that is their mission statement, though. I guess they can't distract while they're all talking.
well, there's that, and there's also the fact that they don't know specifically where Koshi is. So, I guess, let me think for a second. I guess the reason why I was thinking of specifically for the timing, I think for right now, we can consider that they would probably consider this to be, let me think, because I'm thinking live here.
Jeopardy theme intensifies.
No, sometimes you gotta really think about it. It's
Okay.
Oh
totally
yeah,
fine.
absolutely.
I'll distract the stream also.
Okay, roll
Never
a,
mind.
roll just a straight d20.
Oh.
Me?
No, Haelum, sorry.
Okay.
D20. Oh god.
Well,
why
it's
am I like
okay.
this?
It's okay, because I just rolled for Lyronus remembering what their mission is, and so he rolled 18, so he's fine. He comes over here, and he was like, well, now what was that for? He was just talking with us. I mean, was what he said supposed to be a secret? And then, like, at this point, offering the engagement. Now, Koshi, roll your sleight of hand with advantage.
Alright, with advantage. Hopefully I won't need it, but... Ooh, and, ooh!
So you don't need to add that
Make it
d4. Because I even rolled the perception of... Okay. Oh, God, yeah, no, Edgar definitely does not see it. He is still recoiling on the ground from his face being punched in.
Alright, I'll roll the d4 just for shits and giggles.
Okay, but I'm not going to count it towards what you're doing.
Alright, fair. I'll go with the 22 anyway.
Yeah, go with a 22.
You can save the D4 for something else.
And so
Okay.
what you're doing is you are grabbing the cloak, or at least trying to compare the cloak with the piece of cloth that you have.
Like the night.
Okay, so at this point, roll investigation.
Alright, here we go. Well, actually, because I'm wondering, since I didn't need the D4, could I apply the D4 to the investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well.
It's intimidation, but
Damn it. All right. Jesus.
stares at the cloak
Okay.
until it tells me what I
All right, cloak.
All right. I apologize. Let's try that
It's all
again. Oh!
want. Keep the roll from the other one, damn it!
Can I request keeping the 22 since I misclicked?
The problem is that there's okay.
If you're taking just the base roll, but removing the, the one difference, it would have been a 21, but that's literally up to lore at that point.
Yeah. Well, because it's depending on whether or not something is the proficiency too. But
Yeah. So it would be 21 then.
okay, so you have the proficiency. So yes, you got a. I'm going to count that. I am a
Thank
grace. I am a merciful DM. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to let your first roll stand. So as you're comparing the two kinds of the cloak with the cloth in your hand, you actually notice that one, there is absolutely no tear whatsoever on this cloak, and two, they are different materials. The cloak that this individual is wearing is actually of a lighter material. It's not quite woolen. It's far more like I don't want to. It's more like a cotton type thing. I'm not entirely sure, but it's much thinner and far more clearly for disguise purposes than, say, weathering a storm.
Quick clarification. We're talking about the man in the black cloak, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Oh.
All right, so, upon realizing this, Koshi's realizing, okay, well, maybe this is certainly important information, but in a different way than they expected. So at that point, Koshi would want to try and get back to cover of obscurity ASAP. So would I need to do a stealth roll to get back to the hiding spot?
No, I'm going to keep your stealth from the first one as well as your sleight of hand. Those are going to carry over to this. Your entire movement right now has been basically covered by those rolls.
Okay,
So
then I my way back to Ariadne.
So, with Lyronus being like, whoa, why'd you punch him? Was that supposed to be a secret? The leader, as far as you can tell through the hood brought over their face, looks in Lyronus's direction and says softly, either you're an idiot or you're being deliberately obfuscating. Which is it? And at this point is when you realize that what you hear is not a masculine voice, but a feminine one. And, I will even note, now that you're up close and personal with the leader, you also notice they're a little short.
Oh. I will say Haelum would probably cut in with being like, let's not discuss which is the correct one, kind of nodding to he's being an idiot.
Yeah.
Really, we were just here to talk, but apparently it seems that you don't like to talk.
And I think that
Pity.
I'm going to ask even you to roll a persuasion on that. I'm also going to roll for Lyronus in a second too, but he's even going to say, oh no, you could probably just describe it to me being stupid. I very frequently miss things. He jerks a thumb over at Haelum. She's only known me for what, like a day? And you can probably confirm that, right?
She just nods, not even looking at Lyronus like, so he's aware of what's going on then. I see.
Oh, he's aware he's stupid. It's one of those...
Oh.
He's socially stupid and he's a little oblivious, but he's also very smart, so he's aware that he's oblivious. He's able to piece that much together. So, yeah, your persuasion actually pulls the heat off of Lyronus there. Later looks over to Haelum, and then between the two of them, well, generally speaking, you do not try to call attention to the fact that there are stockpiles of dark magic. And she glares back at Edgar, who is finally sitting back upright with, holding his face, bleeding from his nose. Jimothy, again, hands up, trying to mediate. I think, Jimothy saying, I think that they are probably well aware that there's something going on. I did mention something to that effect before, as a matter of fact. You did? Well. And she leans in, close to Jimothy, and even though he has like a solid, at least half a foot, if not more, on her, he still seems to shrink back from this. And why were you telling strangers our business?
Well, it just so happens that we're strangers to this town as well.
Oh, yeah.
It behooves of all of us to be on the same page with the weird curses that seem to be around here.
I mean, besides which, they tried to kick me out. All right?
True, they did.
I mean, I like them anyway, but, like, they tried to kick me out, so maybe I should leave.
Haelum internally, like, maybe. He likes him. He's trying to like him, but he makes it so hard.
Aww.
I like him. Haelum's another story.
Yeah. She'll get there.
She will.
So,
Haelum looks at Lyronus, kick the baby!
oh my god.
No.
Okay, alright. The leader regarding them, so I'm looking over... There, just looking over my notes real quick.
Yeah.
Leader looks to them and then to Jimothy. And, like, I know I'm doing a lot of looking back and forth, but it's basically, there's a reason for the pausing, is you can tell that this person is thinking and calculating as they're hearing this information. And I think basically confirming, like, well, we are going to be leaving shortly. Again, rumors being what they are, I don't think that it's worth risking our necks for something that's kind of only halfway confirmed. And then she pauses, and then to Jimothy, unless you discovered something that might make it worth our while to stay? Jimothy, sighing, says, I didn't get that far before the storm happened, and I had to kind of bid a bit of a hasty retreat to not get stuck in that house. And she nods at that. So you're still useless. Good.
Good? I'm sorry.
Fudge.
Good to know, I think I should also say, is what she says there.
Yes, you're dead weight, just as I planned.
You're useless! Good!
So, you were not able to find anything. I think it is in our best interest to leave. And then... Edgar gets up and glares again at the party, again assumes sort of thing, and then says, and we're just announcing our plans to them. Is that what we're doing right now? We're just announcing our plans to everyone? And the leader...
Yes, Edgar, that's what you just fucking did.
Yeah, raises her fist again, and he cowers. And then says, nothing that we say can possibly outdo or outshine your particular brilliance. And then the leader turns specifically to Haelum, and at this point, let me see, because I didn't pull this into the scene, and I probably should have, and I'm gonna go to this thing. Let me put this over, and then I'm going to, because at this point, drawing back the hood enough, and I may as well just keep both here on the screen anyway, enough so that you can see her face. And you see a dwarven woman. I may as well zoom in for the crowd so y'all in the audience can see this.
Whoa.
I was gonna say, are we dealing with a short stack situation? And lo and behold...
It's a dwarven woman with a very serious expression, silvered hair of her own, and very piercing, sharp, I think they're supposed to be blue eyes, but expression is very clearly hardened. Like, this is a woman who has been through shit. And that you can read this in her expression, and she stares directly into your face.
Mm-hmm.
As if trying to read something. Do you have any particular response? She's doing it silently for the moment.
I think Haelum would... The thing is, Haelum is not unused to that kind of look, so she would do the same, kind of just staring for a moment. She's smiling sweetly, just kind of like looking at the lady like, oh, I can see your face now. Okay. But she's not saying anything until the other woman says something. If she doesn't, Haelum might like interject with let's see. Well, I can tell you aren't one for conversation, but you do have a lot to say.
The woman continues staring at Haelum, and Jimothy at this point interjects with, it might behoove us, in fact, to take them with us. After all, they are the ones that ended the storm just now. And this is the point where the woman glances away from Haelum back to Jimothy, then back to Haelum and Lyronus. As kind of like a secondary note. Interesting. And how did you accomplish that?
Haelum looks at Lyronus like, how did we accomplish that?
Lyronus shrugging. I guess the magic of friendship.
You know, normally I would be upset that you said that, but... And she turns to the others, says, I actually do think he's being correct. There is some amount of magic that we don't quite understand, but thanks to our music, we were able to stop the storm. And it might, in fact, be the magic of friendship.
Or at least something equivalent thereof. I mean, I don't know. And if I don't know, I don't expect them to know. I think it's magic connected with... He stops himself. Something I will tell you about some other time. But, so...
Haelum face palms.
Rip.
No, he was like saying that he was saying tell you to Haelum.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. But regardless, it's powerful. Whatever it is, hey, maybe it is useful to you. And I'm gonna roll. Oh God, he got a nat 20.
Let's go.
Hey!
Nice.
Finally, a good roll from the boy.
Well, this is also.
When he needs to.
Also, can I say I love how like my white dwarf comment about Lyronus got translated on to the point where at the dwarven woman reveal, my friends went, Lyronus has a big sister.
Oh no! I mean, Lyronus is only as he is, he's only 15 years old. But as he was like, I think over 500.
I was gonna say give or take a few billion.
Not billion. He still needs to tell you that story.
Oh God!
Y'all got sidetracked.
Boy.
If he's only in the hundreds, he really is a young star.
He is.
Eye emojis.
It's almost like there's a story behind that or something. Anyway, yeah, so with that nat 20, both Jimothy and the dwarven woman seem to be very impressed by this. Edgar's not impressed, but that's only because he Angie.
I love Angie Boy. Sorry.
Yes.
I mean, you do seem to have a type, Gap.
Yes,
Go
well.
away.
I mean, okay, but
Nerd.
even that's very clearly even more my type, Griffin.
You know what, Fairy? It is one of your types.
Griffin, if you know me at all, you would look at all three of these cloaked figures and realize they're all my type.
You know what? Valid.
I'm a bi disaster.
Yeah, fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Usually when it comes to lore, her types are puppy and bastard.
And sometimes both. I mean, look at Scout. Anyway.
Sorry.
For
Okay.
Scout being a character from Gab's campaign.
We're not playing my campaign. We're doing this one.
Who happens to be the boyfriend of my character, but he started out as a bad guy. Yeah, anyway, so they were impressed by this, what Lyronus said about the storm having been solved by powerful magic, and that much he does know. And so again, after a moment, the dwarf woman says, I I think I have a pretty good reason. I think I have a better yeah, let me try that again. I think I might actually have a better idea. And then... Alright, just going over my notes because this is slightly different from... Alright.
I know, we made you change your plan.
See, yeah, you changed my plan, which is good. Jimothy even adds onto that, and it, or,
You just want to stay in town with us for
Yeah.
a while longer?
Yeah, no, like, well, and she continues, I also understand, from what I've heard from some of the townsfolk around here, that perhaps you were not particularly impressed with the leadership of this little village.
I think at that point, if the dwarven woman's still looking at Haelum, she's gonna drop the sweet smile and give a sort of like knowing smirk. Like, if anybody can see what her current it's like the Roll20 icon versus the Discord icon. It's like very sweet, and then the aha, so you're on the same page.
Uh-huh.
She gives her that look, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is the first time that you have seen the dwarven woman smile. I mean, it's not something that quite touches her eyes. There's something very hardened in that. But the smile is there, and it's not quite a knowing smirk. It is one of pleasure, but it's just not like... She's not someone who experiences joy, which is rather ironic, given that Lyra is the goddess of joy. But anyway, we have no interest in sticking around after what we've seen. But we did come here for a reason. And I wonder if we can't arrange something mutually beneficial.
I think that we certainly could. There are some questions that we still need answers to, and I think that you and your friends might actually have those answers. And what was it that Koshi said earlier, Lyronus? You scratch our back, we scratch yours? Was that the phrase?
Well, I think he only got halfway through that, but I think that was the implication, yes.
And she just nods and like,
I had to make an assumption on that, but it seems as though we could help each other.
Soft chuckle from the woman, and, yes, as a matter of fact. Well, we would be happy to help you get out of this town. I think that it might be beyond our ability to be able to investigate what's going on, but I don't think that it is beyond yours. Let me review my notes real quick. So, now that it's all out in the open anyway, we were going to be investigating the Thanasi estate. Rumor has it that the man buries himself in secrets, and some of them are magical. I have a bit of advice from one skeptic of the so-called nobility to a mind not entirely made of baked corn. And she glares at Edgar. I know something about dearest Danforth that I think you might find pertinent. She glances around quickly. But not here. I'm afraid Jimothy's excursion might have called more attention to us. And she's specifically referring to the fact that he almost got caught in the house. So, if you're interested in learning more about the Thanasis and what they might be hiding, meet me just a bit out of town. And at this, she actually glides over to the wagon. I'm not going to actually move the icons for this because she comes right back. Pulls out a parchment and marks it. And she returns to offer it to you, a crude map indicating a spot to the northeast just out of town. If you meet us there, perhaps we can find out together what it is that Danny boy is hiding.
Haelum takes the crude map and, still smirking at that, she just kind of nods and says,
I think that this will work out very well. Considering that we just got in with his good graces, we might be able to get you a little more information as well.
Yeah, we were just declared heroes of this town, so, I mean, if anything, we could probably pass through just about anything undetected. Lyronus, you're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud!
she puts a hand on Lyronus' shoulder and says,
Yes, but let's not go announcing that and or using up our one chance now, will we, Lyronus?
Oh, of course not. Right. I mean, we're heroes. We do good things. And we do things. We do things to help the common good. And I think that, and he smiles over to the adventurers, I think that what you're offering is definitely much better for the common good. Do you want to roll insight, by the way, on that, Haelum, just to ease some of her concerns? Perhaps.
As my lawful good alignment, I would like to know what he's implying.
Okay, you can pick up on the fact that what he is saying is he is trying to get them to not suspect them and to make them think, continuing on the he's stupid idea, that he's just naive. But you can actually tell there's a little glint of cunning in his eye. He is playing them.
Yay! I'm proud of him.
He's trying to make them think he's stupid so that they slip up.
Oh, so you don't suspect a thing.
Fully playing into the himbo card.
Twimbo.
You know what? Fair. Especially if he comes from a binary system.
Okay. So, in the interest of potentially moving this whole thing along, because Koshi has confirmed the thing and they've established the meet us out of town thing, I think at this, the leader grabs Edgar, drags him back over here, because he started to actually, like, almost go over to confront the two of you guys again, or two of the team anyway. But she grabs him by the chest, like the shirt, or like, well,
Grabs
the
him by
hood.
the chest hair.
Yeah,
Yes.
by the chest hair. Only the chest hair is actually his clothing. And drags him over in the direction and, like, clearly muttering something about make yourself useful and get things ready together. And at this, Jimothy turns to Haelum, even though technically, I mean, it was largely predominantly her, but Lyronus helped, but he's not looking at Lyronus.
Understandable.
And then actually smiles, and then is like, I would be relieved if you do come with us.
Haelum actually smiles at that, like, back to her sweet smile and saying, like,
Well, I think that we do have quite a bit on our plate. And while I would like to leave this town, if we end up not leaving with you, hopefully we'll meet each other again.
I would like that. And I think he thinks for a moment, glancing to them, and I don't have, like, any kind of name for it, basically, but I think that he mentions that they're actually from the major city that the road into town, that basically the one that Koshi came in on, attaches to, that's normally where they end up taking residence and doing their business. And it's a long ways out, but, like, that's typically where they are, and that basically if you ever want to find them, and I think he pulls out his own piece of paper and draws a symbol on it and hands it to Haelum. If you show this to the right people, they'll be able to direct you to wherever we are.
Thank you. I'll make sure to take good care of it then.
Well, I forget, actually, before... Yeah, they introduced themselves, but yes, I'm trying to think, like, if specifically names were introduced, but...
yes.
Anyway, yes, they were. And at this, he's smiling, and at this point now, he's actually blushing! And basically is like, I would look forward to that. However, if we are able to leave together, I feel like that might be more appropriate. I would like to ensure your safety.
Mm-hmm.
Aw, she's like smiling at that like an aw. Now I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna be like, oh, this is my expectation as a player. She's gonna say like,
Well, perhaps then you could wait for us? Wait for me?
Roll persuasion.
Dang, girl.
I mean, you're not going to have difficulty. Okay, so you rolled a 17.
I rolled a 7.
I was
so then
going
it's a
to
17.
say.
Yeah.
He's like, roll persuasion. Why?
So you rolled a 10, which means it's a +7, which means you got a 17.
Exactly.
You didn't have to work that hard. But, so yeah, no, he immediately... Like, this is like an almost seemingly uncharacteristic smile for him.
Aww.
And what was the specific reply that she had? You can wait for us, right?
Yeah, like if he's saying like I prefer you like come with us, like oh so I can ensure your safety. Like, if he's talking about just Haelum, she's just saying like maybe then you and your crew could just wait a little longer while we figure stuff in downtown. Then we can go with you. She's like if I can hold out on one hope that maybe he could like delay the rest of the group. She doesn't think that he probably could, but if there's a chance, maybe
Stall.
become friends with them.
The
If
tire.
she's also like trying to make sure they don't leave until she can confirm with the others what they found, because she doesn't know what Koshi found out.
Right.
So she's just kind of like, we can't let these fuckers leave. They're probably guilty.
Right. So I think at the wait, he glances over again, like he smiles, glances over to the leader and says, "Well, I don't think we're going to be going anywhere until she has the chance to speak with you outside of town, but well, I can certainly see what I can do to, well, ask about waiting. And if I know what she's thinking, there's a good chance we wouldn't be leaving without you anyway."
Well, that's good. That's a relief.
It really and truly is. And then I think at this, Edgar yells out at Jimothy and like, "If you're done flirting with the goddamned elf, maybe you could help us?"
Dang, called out.
Calm down, cooked corn, or whatever the fuck your name is.
Cooked corn.
That was what he was called earlier.
Baked corn.
Baked corn, thank you.
But
Popcorn.
he turns red. And this is the
Aw.
first time you've actually seen him mad, because he's largely been fairly composed this entire time. He snapping back at Edgar, saying, "For a man who just had his face punched in, you sure talk a lot."
Oh, so creamed corn.
And after sparing one last glance over at Haelum, he goes to join the others.
Well, he's nice.
Oh, he's very nice. Perhaps he simply fell in with the wrong crowd.
Well, from the stories that I've heard, the handsome ones often are the bad boys. She does air quotes and says, "Though I've never met them before. This is my first time meeting a bad boy."
Is he a bad boy? I mean, I suppose.
Well, you did say he's in with the wrong crowd, I would assume.
He then thinks for a second. You know, I've heard people say that I'm handsome. Do you think I'm a bad boy?
Let's go meet up with the others. I don't want to talk about that.
Perfect response.
That is so perfect.
She respects him. She doesn't acknowledge his level of handsome. She's the only beautiful one in town. Damn it.
Okay. So, I think he's going to say, so let's meet up with the others. Perhaps in the inn?
I think
Yes,
that works.
let's go find them.
All right. So, let me just double check something before I bring you over. Let's see. This arrangement is what it is. Yeah, it looks fine to me. Okay, cool. I was just making sure I didn't have anything on the board that would be like spoilers. But
Yeah,
no,
no worries.
should be good.
I want to say real quick too. I think by this point, especially after seeing Jimothy like blushing, Haelum finally picks up on the "oh, he likes me," but this is not a "oh goodness, what do I do?" like crushes and stuff. She's like, "Yes, good, as you should.
Mm-hmm.
This is normal. This is normal behavior. I deserve this."
Oh,
So-
I can use this.
Whereas,
No, not use it, but you know what I mean.
well, I mean, she might, but anyway,
It's one of
Little
those, it's to
bit.
be expected.
As
Good,
opposed-
bad
Needed some
taste.
pampering this trip.
as opposed to Lyronus, who blue screened the second that someone made a love confession to him. and had a whole conversation with Ariadne where she blue screened at the question, have you ever felt that way about someone?
One blue screen after another.
Oh, it's the chain blue screen. The best.
Haelum is not gonna teach you guys how to, like, you know, talk to people who have crushes on you. She's like, I've done enough of that. I don't need to teach you. You'll learn
Yes.
that on your own.
So I may as
Trial by
well.
fire.
I'm just gonna move you guys basically over here. There you go.
Yeah.
That's where you were. Sophilis also, by the way, came in during kind of all of this. I didn't move the
Finally.
token. But you can see that the inn, not tavern, but the inn has been largely cleared out at this point. The people who were inside, they're like, oh, it's sunny again. They left. Except the lesbians. The lesbians have moved to the bar, where they are currently talking with each other and probably flirting with the waitresses.
Let
As
them
they should.
live.
These updates are rolling through the party. Reboot! Reboot!
We got enough of that with Gab's campaign.
Oh my god. Let's go, lesbians! Okay, so I love the idea of, like, Koshi and Ariadne, as you were making your way through, like, you had to you climb out the window over here, and, like,
Yes.
you know, they kind of looked at you funny. As you fall back in through the window, actually, okay, both of you roll in acrobatics.
Yes.
Tumble and hit your face. Do it.
Acrobatics.
Do it.
Yes.
Oh god, Koshi! Alright. Okay, Koshi, you land perfectly. You land on the floor, and you are, you're used to climbing in and out of things. So
Oh,
you
absolutely.
take a couple of steps, and then behind you, Ariadne, your foot actually catches on one of the branches of the tree right outside the window, and you not only fall, but you end up sprawling through the window onto the floor right next to Koshi.
Shaking crashes and spurts. Ow! Ow!
Lyronus, seeing this,
At which point, like, Koshi just sort of like, under their breath, "You're unbearably naive."
I'm trying, okay? I'll get it next time.
Lyronus,
For now,
seeing
leave
this,
me here to die.
oh my god, I can see her six just staying on the floor. So Lyronus was like talking with Haelum coming inside, sees Ariadne sprawl onto the floor, and immediately rushes over and is like, oh my goodness, are you okay?
Like,
And like, so
Koshi-
he's like leaning over her if she's currently on the floor looking up.
Yeah, like, Koshi's just like squatting next to her, like, a la, like, Rico Suave, just like examining, like, what is this?
Yes, Zelda? What's wrong? What's wrong, Zelda? Zelda being one of my cats, by the way.
Yes.
So yes, anyway, he offers a hand to help her up, too.
I think there's a moment where she wants to just roll up and die a little more, but then it's like, wait, no, we have business. Okay, I guess I'll take your hand. All right, let's go. That would be much appreciated. Thanks, I think.
He smiles warmly and helps her up again to her feet.
Yeah.
And doesn't immediately necessarily let go either. He kind of, like, it's a part, because his attention immediately goes back to the other two, and is like, so, what did you find out?
So at that point, Koshi pulls out the piece of cloth and holds it in front of them. Another dead end.
Really? So it didn't match.
Koshi shakes their head.
I know, he just shakes. Like he did when or like
He
they did
vibrates.
when they were wet.
Work your body out.
Oh my god.
Haelum will look at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, you first.
Haelum's just gonna look at Lyronus and go, "Well, okay. I guess we didn't need to investigate or intimidate them that much."
He then, actually, I'm going to take a moment.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. He picked up on the Jimothy thing for once. For once, he's not oblivious, boy.
Wow.
Oh.
It's only if it's not him.
I guess, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That really makes sense.
That does seem to be a theme so far.
So he actually smirks at Haelum and says, well, perhaps there was no need, but perhaps there was some entertainment in it.
She kind of blinks at that and goes, "Oh, well, I had fun."
He grins. Well, I mean, again, depending on whether or not he decides to wait for us, you can continue to have fun with him. Perhaps a little extra fun.
She gives Lyronus a glare and says, "Don't you talk to me about fun.
I know a lot about fun.
You know very little about fun, anyways."
Look, I have been around for a very long time, and I have literally been watching the entire world this entire time. What do you think I don't know about fun?
How many people in this town have confessed their love to you already, Lyronus?
He blinks. Well, just the one. He then realizes, I should probably talk to him at some point. And then
She does
she
pat him on the shoulder.
advised?
Yeah. She'll pat him on the shoulder, almost kind of like, this is not a biting remark, saying like, when you're ready to talk to him. But I will advise you to be a little more perceptive of everyone else in town. She kind of like looks around, like not those two, obviously, but some of the other women in this town.
And men. I think Lyronus kind of, like, he takes in a deep breath, smiles at Haelum again, and says, but I don't think it was necessarily a waste of our time. I mean, I think we found out some interesting things, didn't we?
Oh no, definitely not a waste of our time. And she'll produce the crude map. In fact, we have a meeting with their leader.
So
Amazing, Isai.
I think I'm gonna have Koshi roll history to see if they can recognize any of the symbols or markings on that map, considering it is from the city they were just in.
I
No.
can even produce the symbol that Jimothy wrote down. Like, she's gonna produce both papers, and she'll say, like, here's a map of the location. We'll meet them outside of town soon.
Okay,
And this is a gift from our dear Jimothy.
So even just to clarify, the map that was given to them, the one that was indicating where to meet them just out of the town of Vermouth, is not... It was literally a quickly sketched map. It was not like an official map.
Oh, okay, but
Yep.
the symbol, if the symbol is used in the city, Koshi might recognize it. So can I roll history for that?
Let me think.
Because I mean,
Well,
with
if he's
Koshi
from that
being
town.
the ringleader of a ring
Okay.
of like of city urchins, they might have some insight into that.
Okay. Roll history.
All right.
You know, no.
Well, you tried.
No. Surprisingly, you beat it.
Oh.
Oh.
I rolled actually to basically have a number to beat, basically, and I ended up getting one, and you beat it. So,
Oh, well.
you've actually seen the symbol. I will say, because it's a low roll, you don't know much about it, but you've seen it basically cross your desk at some point.
Sort of like a rival dojo sort of situation.
A little bit, I guess. Sorry, I was just distracted by something cool. It's not necessarily rival dojo, but you do recognize it. You recognize it as not necessarily a huge group of, like, underground thievery or anything like that, but, like, it's known in the sense of, like, you have to register with certain groups, or that it's a good idea to register with certain groups to get extra protection doing sketchy jobs.
So like criminal underground union.
Thieves Guild.
Okay.
That's what they're called.
Okay, gotcha.
Thieves Guild.
Yes.
So, let's see. I think I might have Koshi try and grab grabby hands the paper with the symbol on it. Would that be a
Haelum,
strength
do
check?
you give it to him?
I'm showing it. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Koshi. She'll even say, like, make sure to give it back.
Yeah. So yeah, Koshi definitely grabby hands it. Holds it up closer to their face. They're clicking inquisitively. I'm trying to think of exactly what they would say, and then maybe like, this means something. This is important.
I should hope so. It was supposedly our ticket in with the rest of his group if we should go to the nearby city.
I mean, symbols are generally important.
Do you mind if I make a copy of that symbol for reference?
No, why not?
At that point, Koshi sort of like hesitantly hands it over to Ariadne, but then sort of turns to the others and relays, Thieves Guild.
Oh. Turns to Lyronus. He is a bad boy.
Lyronus does like the think emoji face and says, I suppose by definition, well, perhaps it's our job to rehabilitate him?
Oh, definitely.
Oh, what?
Lawful good.
God.
Lawful good. Sorry.
And I think at this point, they would probably, like, again, exchange of information. They were there, but I think just in case, they double-check that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, fact-checking and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So, question.
I mean, even pairs of that, like, question. Who's there? You got the question?
Knock, knock.
One more.
Okay.
Take your time, Jane.
But yeah, what's the question?
I was even gonna say, because we're coming up on time, basically.
Oh shit, you right.
Yeah, this has been going by pretty fast.
God.
I mean, for a first session, it's going pretty good. Well, first session streamed anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is me just as a DM. I want Lyronus to talk about his backstory. I think he's even going to kind of like, I might have him basically open the window of opportunity to do that. And I think that getting through that, would take us probably to the end of today's session. If you guys wanted to do that.
If you want it to be like him just explaining everything and then we ended there.
Yeah.
Well, there's going to be a specific event to actually close out the session, and I know exactly what it is.
Okay.
But, I'm also going to wait for Jane to hopefully be able to get back. Give it a couple of minutes anyway.
Hi, sorry about that.
Welcome back!
Yeah.
Right on cue. So I was even saying that I want to give an opportunity for Lyronus to explain his backstory. Zelda, no, you're not allowed on the desk right now. Thank you very much. Oh, she licked my finger. Okay. She's on top of the computer tower and she's making like she wants to jump down, but no, sweetie, there's no room for you right now.
I think some of my favorite, like, whenever I'm in call with Laura, is like when she's baby talking at cats and it goes south. It's like, oh, you sweetie, but no. It's the fucking best.
Okay. So, at this point, again, after catching everyone up, Lyronus kind of glancing around, realizing, hey, we're in a kind of private space. He says, so, I think and actually he looks to Ariadne, I believe I promised you especially an explanation of, well, what happened before.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I owe you all an explanation as to who and what I am. I didn't mean to necessarily hide it from you. It was just, well, you don't always know who you can trust saying that. And I didn't want to scare you off immediately, or make you suspicious, or well, I didn't exactly have a lot of proof to be able to say that. But after the magic, and he's actually fumbling over his words and fidgeting a little bit. Anyway, since we are here. And he glances, he goes actually over to Sophilus. I don't suppose we would be allowed to avail ourselves temporarily of one of your rooms? Sophilus looks to them and says, well, I mean, the three of them have already paid for 3 rooms, or 2 rooms, I think it was, because they were sharing a room.
Yeah.
Yep.
The
Because
2 of
she
them
had a
were.
room to themselves.
The 3 of them already have a couple of rooms to themselves. You are certainly welcome to use those. Besides which, again, you kind of saved everyone in town just now with what you did before. I would not object to allowing you a moment of privacy if you needed it. Sus! Sus! I see you in chat. Okay.
Moment of privacy.
So Lyronus, looking to the others, gesturing to the stairs.
Haelum follows.
Alright.
As
Man.
does Koshi.
I mean, I didn't make these precisely. I think I'll even say we meet out here.
Okay. As she walks by, if you need another coin, just let me know. I have a couple more.
He laughs and says, let's just say your smile is payment enough.
Oh, okay then. Puts back the coin in her pocket.
Fucking Doublemint twins as like product smile.
God, bitch.
So I should probably also move the screen so people in the audience can see where they currently are assembled. Cool, cool. So he gestures. Oh, I was gonna say he gestures, have a seat, and then Koshi jumps up on the fucking chair.
Like Koshi just like fucking crouches on the actual like table itself. You know, leaves the chairs to the elves.
Haelum is sitting politely.
Does Ariadne want to take a seat?
Okay.
Lyronus is gonna stand
on.
as he talks.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
there's 2 chairs. I was like, wait, do you want the chair first?
Yeah, and Koshi is just like sat on the actual table like a gargoyle.
I love this cluster of
Oh, yes,
heroes here.
absolutely.
God, bitch.
They're very close with each other. So he takes in a deep breath, and I will say his smile has dampened a little bit as he talks about this. Slides out paper perfect, because you're gonna get a story, Ariadne.
Screams, here we go. Takes out my Google Docs.
So, a long time ago, around 500 years or so, there was a heroic young man whose singing was so beautiful he could make the gods weep. He frequently met with Miliel, who so enjoyed his company that rumors spread that the affection was not solely that of kinship. One day, this man was able to single-handedly halt an ancient blue dragon from attacking a city with his song alone. And there he met and fell in love with a beautiful woman that had been among those he'd saved. For the first time in his life of wandering, this man wanted a home and family. And so, they wed, and went on to have 7 children. But, one day, his wife was attacked in the street while escorting 2 of the children home. Her wounds were too great, and she succumbed not too long after that, huddled in her husband's bleeding arms. The man wept, and through his river of tears he wrote a song to grieve her and to remember her. And when he sang it, his children joined, and the song was so beautiful, Miliel could no longer bear the man's sadness. He lifted them up and offered eternal peace, a place to sing their song for the rest of time where they would no longer feel pain, only the warming light of love. And they could, in turn, share their love across the realms for those who need light in dark times. The man accepted, and he and his children ascended to become a constellation of stars in the sky, eternally singing. That man was Luminos, and he is my father. I was, at least for the last few hundred years or so, a star, singing in a chorus with my siblings. And at this he stops and kind of glances down. Roll cutscene, Shazam! Cool. If there are... I'm prompting if anyone wants to say anything, otherwise he's going to continue.
Haelum is listening intently.
Yeah, Koshi is trying to gauge whether or not they believe him or not.
I'm just gonna roll another wisdom save.
Oh, no.
Her notes are getting a little messier.
With tears.
Oh.
No, I don't know if she would cry necessarily just yet. 'Cause wisdom save is that's a 2.
Yeah, that's a 2 but it's a 7.
Ghibli tears going on.
So,
Yeah, she's trying to, she's tearing up a bit, but she's trying to be quiet about it so that, like, he can, like, not to disturb him.
right.
But, dang, wow, okay, you're a constellation, and you lost your mom, and all, anyway, sorry, please continue.
And actually, at that, though, he does specifically look to Ariadne, because they had talked about the figure that he mentioned, the queen. And he says, about 20 years ago, a woman took notice of our song. She listened to us every night, and... What? Oh, hello. Oh, hello, Pyro Wolf. Thank you for subscribing. I heard a jingle in the back of my mind, or back of my mind.
See, it's fanfare for the story.
Yeah! Anyway, she listened to us every night, and wept come the break of day. She was a lonely woman, you see, and so she began begging us to stay, but we could not. The day breaks, and we must rest. But I tried to make it easier for her. I drew nearer and sang only for her. This eased her heart for a time, but this, too, did not end her loneliness. And so, she crafted a ritual that would bind my soul to a mortal form. I was forced from the sky. That was what you saw that night. The powerful magic had further reach than she intended it seems, since those who witnessed my fall also became bound to my soul. I didn't know that until recently, though. And, well, to keep me safe, that woman gave me a tower all to myself. I wasn't unhappy with her, but I grew to miss my family too much to bear, and when my first new friend came, it was because she heard my singing and felt like she needed to find me. And she did. But, well, while trying to help me find a way home, she fell victim to one of the many hazards in the land of that queen. And she passed. And at this point, you actually do see tears in his eyes. But...
Baby.
Her coming had given me an idea of how I might try again. I was able to escape. One day, while she was visiting a nearby land, I made my move. And then I began calling to each of you. And he smiles at this, and now here you are. And I specifically created breaks in case people want to interject with anything, so this is another one.
So Koshi has sort of been waiting for, like, an indication that that's the end of the actual full story. At which point they go, I'm sorry, but were you dropped on your head as an infant?
Zelda! Zelda, please!
Perfect timing.
Haelum's actually gonna leer at Koshi for like the first time in a while.
Oh, baby, come on. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh, yes.
Zelda.
Cat chirps.
Baby girl. Okay, sorry. You were saying what?
So did you catch what Koshi was saying?
Can you repeat it? I was distracted because cat.
Okay, so Koshi asks, I'm sorry, but were you dropped on your head as an infant?
Not that I know of.
Haelum leers at Koshi for the comment.
Why do you ask? Do I have a mark? He starts patting at his head.
No, Lyronus, I think the story can be hard to believe, but you've given us no reason so far for you to want to lie to us.
He then actually nods in understanding and then smiles. Well, this is why I didn't want to tell you anything, but after that song that we performed together, I figured, I felt like perhaps that might lend a little bit more credence to what I had to say. most people, when I told them that I am a star, actually, well, if they didn't outright ignore me, they would laugh at me, and I was lucky that most of them were not hostile. Most.
What you're saying does make sense, though. We all saw what happened all those years ago, right? The sky lighting up in those brilliant shades, and then all of it turning to nothing. And I mean, it just makes sense.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
It just makes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, Haelum's nodding to that.
At this point, Koshi sort of like, again, chirps a little bit and goes, I don't know what I saw.
And Lyronus pauses and says, "You saw me." And I suppose in that moment I saw you too. And I suppose to that extent it is somewhat my fault that, well, you may be dragged into something else. But he pauses. Sorry, you were gonna say something?
If it's okay to say to the, it's not, I mean, it's my fault. Can she pipe up at that?
Can she what with that?
Can she object to that?
She can, yeah.
Okay, cool, thanks. I think to that, saying that, like, he's gonna start saying that, like, it could be my fault, and it's like, but you didn't ask to be, cursed and bound
Torn
to
out of the sky.
Yeah, exactly that. You weren't asked to be torn out of the sky, so if anything, it's that woman, the queen, right? Don't blame yourself for something you were subjected to. It's not your fault.
And he holds up his hands. He holds up his hands in a gesture of, like, no kind of thing. And he says, well, no, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and technically it was her actions that pulled me from the sky, but, I mean, again, she was very lonely. There was no one around her. There was no one who could care for her or remind her of her worth. She may have been a queen, but... He then pauses at that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why she is called the Queen of Vast Nothingness.
Except, though, consent,
Yeah, Haelum's in Ariadne's court, basically. She wants to chime in saying that, like, it's, Lyronus, it was never your duty to cheer up this queen. Her title or not, still, she stole you from the sky, and she's like she's having a hard time, and then she just blurts it out. I'm gonna do everything in my power to get you home.
Oh!
This is an injustice. You were stolen from your home, and you belong in the sky, and we will get you there.
I think he actually, good puppy twimbo as he is, he actually fully tears up at that, like an actual tear escaping. And he says, to be truthful, I had wanted to be able to be with her, even just for a time. I could not, by virtue of what I was, but I would not have objected had it not continued for the last 15 years. But I wanted to be able to visit her, and I think that might have given her the wrong idea. I just don't want to ascribe anything... Well, I don't think it's her fault any more than it's mine. Just... And he looks genuinely, like, perturbed by this. More at the accusation or the insinuation that the queen did anything wrong, kind of thing. Poor Lyronus has been stellar napped. Oh, God. So he then says, I would like to go back home, but I don't quite know how yet. But the magic we just did together, I feel like that's connected to who I am as a star. Maybe even my father's power, or something Milil has offered, or... He trails off. Anyway, I'm all the more convinced now that we need to find out about the cause of this curse. If Lyra or her followers are threatened, then Milil would absolutely want us to resolve it.
I see. So then our purpose is to stay here for a bit longer.
At least to uncover what's going on, and if indeed this magic comes from Milil, perhaps it is a test? Or a way to strengthen this magic, or to better understand it?
I guess we'll have to see.
In uncovering all this, if it's one step closer to getting you home, then perhaps it's definitely worth a shot.
I want to help them anyway. I mean, no one deserves to have to endure the sort of trauma that they have experienced.
Sure.
So, question.
Yes.
Could you maybe have Lyronus roll persuasion to see whether or not Koshi believes him?
Okay,
It might be the other way around.
I mean, I can do that, but, like, I guess if you want to contest it, it would be a wisdom save.
That's what I was gonna ask, yeah.
Okay. So, roll your wisdom save.
Alright. Well...
Yeah, I mean, even with the base roll, never mind his persuasion addition. Oh my god, Cat! He's very persuasive. And
Okay,
he manages to basically impart to you very sincerely what was the specific thing that you were looking for.
But mainly the whole thing about, like, I'm a star and I need to find my way home. Like, whether or not, like, number one...
Be all of it.
Yeah, pretty much the crux of the story being portrayed here.
So, I'm even going to add to the chat, because I want to make you're eventually going to be able to see the name anyway, but the spelling of it...
Yeah, for future reference.
Lyronus. Anyway, just adding that to the chat. Anyway, okay, cool. So I think that basically he does impart it with absolute sincerity in how he speaks. And it's, like, very clear. You can tell he's not lying.
Sorry, I was just gonna say that, like, on top of that, given all the experiences that have led up to this moment between the shared, like, aura vision and the spell that they ended up casting, it's... Although they were initially skeptical, Koshi does eventually sort of come to the conclusion that I would probably be a fool to just flat out deny that this is even a possibility at this point.
Yup.
So, in the interest of tackling what it is that's going on around town, where do you think we should start? I mean, obviously, we can meet up. We do have the plans to meet up with Jimothy and the others outside of town. We do also have those, the flowers to return to Sally.
I do think we should do that first.
Yes,
We have some errands to run in town first, and then we meet with the others.
He nods in agreement with that. And I do think that, well, it is deeply suspicious, everything that has been said about Danforth Thanasi. I'm trying to deepen my voice and I can't right now. But anyway,
Okay.
Danforth Thanasi.
Thanasi.
And on cue, almost as if on cue, I'm even gonna say it's because the door here is open. An arrow pierces the floor right here with paper wrapped around it.
Alright, so with that, I think I'm going to try and do a... Would that be a con or wisdom save to see whether or not Koshi is, like surprised by that?
Wisdom.
Alright.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, we can even say that, like, Koshi having as much experience in the underground as they do, they didn't expect it, but they're not exactly all that much phased by it just swooping in out of nowhere.
And let me see something real quick with Lyronus. He rolled a 1!
Bloodfish.
So he actually, at the arrow, hitting the fucking floor, he not only yelps, he jumps back and actually stumbles, like, and falls against the wall in tripping himself to get away from the arrow because he was so distracted with the conversation that he was not expecting it. So he just, like, slams back into the wall after shrieking at the arrow hitting.
Goodness.
And at that point, Koshi goes, amateur hour in here. And sort of hops down from the table and sort of scurries over to the arrow to pluck it out and unfurl the message.
The paper is a note. The note reads, "Finally, someone who isn't brainwashed or brainless. We need to talk. Meet me in the inn. Well, perhaps in 10 minutes or so. I need your help. Yours, DT."
So at that...
And
Oh, go ahead.
get out what you were going to say about Koshi, but...
Yeah, all I was going to say is Koshi would, like toss the note over to Ariadne. Just to sort of, like, pass it around.
Cool.
Okay.
So, because it's time for the end of session.
Yay, we did it.
That is our cliff.
Puppy Lyronus
This
in the chat.
this is, yes, get Lyronus home, puppy Lyronus, hashtag yes. So, that little cliffhanger, you now have been invited to meet somewhere else in the inn about 10 minutes from now. You've learned a lot about Lyronus and what exactly led him up to this point. You have some options about what you're going to be pursuing next time. So, good job, guys. I'm actually really happy because a lot of cool stuff came out. I'm glad that Haelum now has an official admirer.
Oh, yes.
Good, finally.
It was
There's
long
gonna be plenty
overdue.
more.
No, you're not out of them yet.
Good.
But so, this was fun. I'm like grinning like the entire time here. This was so fun. Did you guys have fun?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Hope Lyron is up next session. Yes, return the favor, nerd. Yes, I love that.
Sorry, I
Cool.
was taking notes myself, so next time.
Yeah, no worries. I do the same thing.
So, for all of you who are watching presently, I hope you guys got to enjoy the literal first streamed session of the Lore of Leyus. This is the Starburst campaign, obviously, and now you know why it is that the screen is this, and these babies are now on screen anyway. Cool.
Yay.
I might even add that officially to the screen, who knows? I
If
might.
you want to use it, go for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just it. Okay, cool.
Do it.
So, there they are, and they'll be under the chat there. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys got to enjoy that. So, this is one of those where I have to do, the plug, so to speak, but one of the things that I was hoping to do with this campaign, hence something I mentioned in the announcement video for this, is I do want there to be audience participation. Now, being in the chat, like, obviously I love seeing what you guys have to say, and I'm going to be watching that as best I can and try and keep up with you guys, but I will say that certain voices are more equal than others. Okay, I do have a Patreon, and that is usually linked in the description of every one of the videos that gets uploaded to the channel. And if you do become a patron, even just for, like $1 a month, you will actually be able to get to vote on things like giving them a gift, like they find a healing potion or a magic item, or maybe you make things harder for them. Things like, someone steps in and makes their life a lot more difficult, or an encounter that they weren't originally planning for. those are things that you will be able to vote on, and if I'm able to get this channel officially up to the standards that YouTube allows for this, I might be able to enable super chats at some point, which would basically be the equivalent of a live vote using super chats. And things like it will be tallied effectively by the end of the stream to decide something that the characters will have happen to them at the end of the session. And so, but that's quite a ways down the while. I have still some other requirements to get my channel to that point. But for right now, you can still definitely vote on things through the Patreon, and I'm probably going to be working that out in the next couple of days and put up a poll for people to vote on. And obviously, those of you who are patrons and who are also part of this game will get to see that and vote on that. And I will say it's up to you, Gab, for example, if you want to actually vote on that, or if you want to leave it up to others.
Oh, I'm gonna leave it up to others. I think that it would be more fun, because it's one thing if I were like, oh, I want to try to tip the scales in my own favor, but like, I like to play. I want y'all to have a chance. If you're thinking about joining the Patreon, like, I like the idea of audience participation, especially for these streams. Like, it's one thing if you're gonna listen after the fact, but if you can make it for these streams, I think the added bonus of getting to like screw us over or help us, I think it makes the game more fun.
You're basically turning this into a Batsu game, which I am all for.
It's YouTube plays Pokemon, but it's D&D.
God damn it, you're right.
Oh, I'm just gonna say it's kind of like Hunger Games. You know how like you can like
Yes.
Oh God.
send stuff to
That I was
it's a flying thing.
the entire time that I was even coming up with this idea, I was literally thinking of that. So
I mean, there you go.
Yeah.
you get to be a benefactor for these children who are trying to kill each other.
There we go. That's the word.
But so that's like I said, that's the official plug. Beyond that, there will be obviously the plan for this is to be doing it every other week, every other Sunday, starting at 4:30 p.m. Central. We are going to be streaming. I mean, obviously, if you follow, like, for example, the Twitter account, that, again, all of the social media stuff is going to be linked in the description for videos. I'll be, obviously posting there anytime we're about to go live. I also posted to, like, my Discord servers, so if you're in my Discord servers, you will get notification about that. And also, I have the sneaking suspicion that the members of this campaign who invited all y'all to come by here today will probably do the same thing in the future, so there's a lot of different ways to know whenever I'm going live. Floodgate opens just like Hellgate London.
God.
But, so hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult to keep track of it, because, like I said, every other week to give myself time to properly prepare stuff in between sessions and to come up with the stuff that helps these or hurts.
The game.
Yeah, the game stuff. That's on my end. But, so yeah, every couple of weeks at the same time, 4:30 Central. I am going to try and keep it to like 2 to maybe 2.5 hours. 3 at most. Today was an exception. We have been officially playing for about 3 hours.
Yep.
A little bit longer for the actual stream itself, but just in general. So this was quite a long session. I mean, not as long as we've played before, but...
I mean, I'll say for me, it flew the fuck by. I was having so much fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad you guys in call with me and playing the game had fun, and I'm glad that you guys who came by to watch today, like, I've been reading your stuff as we go along, and it's been really great to see you guys chatting. I always love seeing comments. I mean, other than people coming in to troll or be shitty and awful, but none of you guys were, so that's...
Oh, yeah.
Thumbs up. Appreciated. Cool.
Oh, yeah. Because that's just it. Like, again, knowing personally some of the people in this chat, it's nice to see them just getting so hyped for this, especially because of the influence they've had on me and my passion for these types of games.
So, I guess I will see you guys hopefully in a couple of you guys being the audience. I'm not speaking to any of you guys, the players, for the next 2 weeks, which might make Modem next week awkward.
A little bit.
A little bit. But I hope to see you guys in the next couple of weeks. And hopefully we'll be, I can't wait to start introducing what the patrons actually vote on and throwing that at you guys whenever I feel like throwing it at you guys.
Yay!
So,
Hey, let's
be sure to
go.
share this with all of your friends. Just realized that I only set this to unlisted privacy.
Yeah,
Listen-
I was gonna say I wasn't sure if that was intentional or not.
That was probably it.
Oh dear.
Yeah, well, I mean, anyone who clicked the link certainly saw this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did link it, but oof.
It's public now, so there's that. But actually,
Alright.
I'm about to
in the
end
next
it.
2 weeks, if you're listening to this and you can pick like the next day we're gonna be streaming this, it'll be
Mystery
public.
stream.
So,
Well, the thing is, too, incentive to subscribe already.
True.
be sure to subscribe to Cybernetic Studios, and of course, the standard stereotype of hit the bell because it will actually send the videos and alert you to the fact that I have started streaming and all of that stuff. Those are all good things. I know every YouTuber says the exact same spiel. It's just that
Yeah.
it's because that's the way YouTube likes to operate. So, anyway, I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to bring Starburst back to you guys. Thanks for watching.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for
Bye
listening,
for
y'all.
now.
Bye-bye.